We, Akatsuki, will deliver.
Beep boop. You recognize that music, Reborn? You should. Has it been an issue that the bottom's kind of clipped off? I don't really think it matters, but it's also really hard to, like, get it exactly right. Yeah. Never heard that music in your entire life? Wow. Well, you should go to youtube.com/whatever it was and check out my playthrough of Kingdom Hearts from however long ago, where you'll hear that music and find out where it's from. Yeah, all those letters and numbers. I don't exactly know why it does that, but hey. If I get enough subscribers and everything, then I'll have my own unique thing. Probably. I don't remember how it works for YouTubes. You kids, you darn YouTubes. Back in my day, we only had everyone's tubes in the sewers. Hello, Riesling. Hope you're feeling better and having a good day. Welcome back to the Spirit of Justice. I know I keep saying I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then I drop it instantly because it sounds bad. But I'm gonna keep trying to do different voices. So feel free to tell me if they're bad, good, if your ears are bleeding, or if you suddenly just have a nosebleed. If you do, please contact your doctor. I don't think I'm responsible for bleeding through your nose. Why do you get the cursed ads? Because all of them are cursed. Yeah, back in your day when you were 2 feet tall. Those were the good old days. But hello, Emmy, if you can even hear me. Hope you're having a good day. I don't think Emmy can hear me right now, but they're gonna recap anyways, but as a small summary, Trucy has been put on trial for the murder of Mr. Reyes. It's not my fault. It's not my fault that I'm dangerously sweet, Riesling. What if they don't this time? That's always my fear. But considering they keep asking me if I want to add something to a testimony or not, I think they'll stay consistent. Hello, Emmy. Sorry you were in Ad City. But also don't worry, all of the ads are cursed. But sorry I can't turn those off. I think the only way to avoid them is to be subscribed, but I'm not exactly going to tell you to subscribe. Anywho, let's get to the recap data. Loading data. Why does it default to no for loading? And that's totally fine. I do not blame you or want you to subscribe if you cannot, Riesling. Or have turbo. I don't remember what turbo is, but... I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm Apollo Justice and I'm fine! Is Apollo okay? He seems to be muttering to himself all morning. He's been like that since yesterday. Guess the pressure of today's trial's getting to him. Poor Polly. He's really tearing himself up after all this. Get it together, Apollo. Yikes! Athena! When and how did you get here? The door was locked. Side-wide ad remover for Twitch. Oh, I see. And things are okay. I'm trying new voices and whatnot. You probably won't even notice. But... oh yeah, I actually forgot. While she's on the screen. If you didn't notice, we have another new emote here. Which I'm gonna post in the artwork channel right now. Apparently it lost it. Oop. Ta-da! I think there is a very small line there that's not supposed to be there, but that's okay. But we have an Athena. I'll remove that line later. Which is weird, it shouldn't be... those are set as references, they shouldn't even get saved. Fire Alpaca is still kind of a pain. But we have a new Just Athena. I was gonna use Pacha's wife that I don't remember the name of for the base of it, but yeah, that would require me drawing a whole new draft and everything, so that's work. So I didn't do that. You know, enjoy Just Athena. I haven't put it on FFZ or anything, because there's too many anyways. Try to relax a little bit, will you? You're getting yourself way too worked up. Yeah, but I'm alright. I'm fine! You know, I did a little digging on this Nahuda Sadmati guy. I still don't know how to say that. Sadmati? Is that how you say that? Sad mad? He's just a sad mad guy? And hello, go. Nayuda Sadmati. I don't get the joke. I don't think it is a joke. Sivia said they took the main characters more seriously. But... like, there's something there. He's apparently not your run-of-the-mill prosecutor. Oh yeah? What did you find out? Well, they say he wields an incredible power to accurately read the trial's karma and its ultimate fate. Uh-huh. I can't wait for him to say we're gonna lose every single one and win every single one. We are not in the past. This is not a flashback. This is actually a whole different game, if you were still watching Dual Destinies. This is currently the present, as far as I can tell. If you didn't see the first parts, Phoenix is off in another country right now, visiting Maya. And we're back at the usual city in America, but Trucy has been accused of murder. You know, Phoenix goes to visit Maya, and suddenly everyone gets the Maya syndrome. This one has normal progression. I mean, the way they started off with Phoenix... also, hello, Sivia. Do you like the new Just Athena? But the way this one starts off with Phoenix in a country where they know literally nothing about how to run a courtroom works better as a tutorial. I'm especially satisfied on Athena with Widget's face. I wasn't really sure what color to go with, but I figured blue was the best. You know, blue's the usual default anyways. Apollo is no longer edgelordy. And, I think all but the last one are on YouTube if you want to watch them. But they're also all on Twitch still. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them are still on Twitch still. I don't think any of it will come up here, except that you need to know who Athena is. But that shouldn't be plot relevant. Like, I don't think any of her backstory will come up again. Probably. What is that supposed to mean? I don't have all the details. But apparently, he can foresee how the arguments will go and even lead his opposition. You know, kinda like Simon did, only, you know, less psychology involved. Yeah, I mean, I think we got that with, Edward's dad. I feel like at that point I was like, alright, the dead people are not very reliable, and sometimes they have an agenda. Like, they're dead. They're gonna bring down the person they hate most with them. That's more with Dahlia, but... yeah, they're still a little biased on who could have killed them. Such as, I don't know, a patrol officer seeing a kid in front of him and then suddenly blacking out might think it was the kid in front of him instead of someone sneaking up behind him. Just as a random example. Yes, dead people aren't omniscient. Although, like, I think I said it last time too, the pool of water seems very small. I feel like his eyesight would have seen that there was nothing above Alby's head. But it's fine. We can't see everything when we're dead. Can we even see dead people if we're dead? Can Mia see herself in the mirror when Maya's channeling her? Or does she see Maya? He can foresee how the arguments will go and even leads his opposition. So the defense basically ends up going in whatever direction he has in his head. That sounds more like he's leading the court, but... man, this isn't gonna be a cakewalk if that's true. I prefer pie anyways. Emma did say she talked to him for us, though. Here's hoping that it went well. In any case, sounds like he's gonna keep us on our toes. Yeah, sounds like every single prosecutor snaps his finger and makes the judge do everything. That's why I know you're ready. Why I know I can leave Trucy in the office to you. I believe in you, Apollo. Thanks, Phoenix in my brain. Mr. Wright is putting his faith in me. I can't let him down now. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine! There he goes again. Hang on. There he goes again. It's almost like he's chanting a prayer. It's so hard to do. I'm fine. I'm fine. Put my hands together. I'm Apollo Justice and I'm fine. If you say so, Apollo. Trial will start momentarily. Is the defense ready? Why don't we have a bailiff? The other country gets a bailiff, but icon or model or whatever, and we don't. Ugh. Yes, we're fine. Trucy's fate and the fate of the agency rested on this trial. This is it, Justice. If there's ever a time to be fine and shine, it's now. And the first thing, we had a bailiff in the other country. He had a gun, but, you know. Oh yeah, is this audible? Yeah. I can't skip these anymore. It's weird. Usually I could press B and just skip right to the end. He could be just named Bailiff. Just like the gallery is usually named Man and Woman. God is now in session for the trial of Trucy Wright. Hello, Trucy. It's been a while. I loved your show. Defense is ready, Your Honor. Nayuta. Okay, I'm glad they used that name. Otherwise, I wasn't going to be able to say it. And the prosecution?
Would I be here if I was not ready?
Prosecutor Sahamadi?
1,000 pardons. It was rude of me to keep you waiting.
It was.
I was praying for the victim.
Oh, praying. Yes, 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 I see. Alright, got another character in here. You're a Koreanist monk, correct, prosecutor?
Yes, that is correct.
For how unbearable this guy is. I am already sad that Blackwill's gone. You know, after so many trials, you kind of get attached to him. Plus, I would feel that he wouldn't be a chump at this point. And we'll never see the bird again. Oh.
Yes, that is correct. I am but a lowly monk for the kingdom of Kuraren. I beg in advance for the forgiveness and kind patience for everyone here in this court. I am unfamiliar with the proceedings of this country, and may make many blunders. Anyways, shall we begin the dance of joy?
Huh, he seems like such a gentle-mannered soul, doesn't he? Can't wait for the other shoe to drop. I wonder if Emma had a chance to talk with him about Trucy. How did Prosecutor Sahamadi? Your opening statement, if you would.
Certainly. In the name of the Holy Mother, I vow to guide the victim's soul to the land of eternal peace known as the Twilight Realm. Now, let the last rites of the victim begin.
Nahuda Sahamadi. Really been making a name for himself, apparently, but that nickname, Last Rights Prosecutor. Wonder how that all came into play today. You might not want to put that on the floor. It's pretty dirty.
The incident took place in the middle of the spectacular magic show. The accused performed a magic trick in which she thrust a sword into a coffin. A coffin from which the body of the victim then spilled out, dead from fatal stabbing. The victim's name was Man of Mystery, otherwise known as the Great Mr. Reyes.
Wasn't until after I said it that I realized what that joke was. I thought his last name would just be Reyes. But no. He's the Man of Mystery.
His blood was found on the sword that was used during the magic trick.
His death was just an unfortunate accident.
It is only natural for one to assume as such, Your Honor. However, it was no mere accident, but rather a homicide. The prosecution's position is thus, that this was a murder made look like an accident.
I see, and you believe this crime was committed by the defendant?
After a thorough consideration of all possible scenarios, I unfortunately had no other choice but to conclude as much, with literally no evidence to prove it.
Then that's how it's gonna be, huh? I guess Emma couldn't convince him after all. Very well, now let us hear from the defense. Naturally, we maintain the defendant is innocent, Your Honor.
If the defense wouldn't mind, shut up. Could you please explain your reasoning?
My reasoning? Well, I haven't really put that together yet. Usually I wait for someone else to talk. I'd have to say that my main reason is because I believe in the defendant.
I see. So you found it difficult to come up with anything more concrete than that, do you? What a fine demonstration of the fact that you are indeed a lawyer of a putrid mind.
Putrid mind? Prosecutor Sahamadi! Excuse me, but I don't... Satora? Uh-huh. Couldn't say it better myself. Are you gonna create clones next? You don't mind me asking, Prosecutor, what was it you were just chanting?
A sutra of the Holy Mother that guides those of tainted soul towards enlightenment. As a Curaranist incantation, it is a Curaranist incantation to awaken the foolish from their fruitless slumber.
I refuse.
Fitting for a lawyer who indulges in such fancy as the innocence of the accused.
I see. So basically you're asking the defense to get real, as the kids say?
Allow me these few words, defense. It is my duty as a monk to punish sinners, and to guide victims' souls to the Twilight Realm. Should you show repentance and admit to the accused's guilt now, no harm will come to you.
Your Honor, he's threatening me. Can we get him out of here?
But, should you interfere with my sacred last rites for the victim, then I shall cast you down to the pit of hell, along with Trickery Wright.
Uh-huh. That's definitely a death threat. But I know nothing's going to come from it because every other prosecutor has threatened us. Well, I guess Edgeworth never really threatened us. Threatening the defense against the law? Only if you're able to prove it in another court. Uh-huh. Now wait just 1 minute here. Putrid, pit of hell, is that any way to address someone in a court of law? Yeah, he mostly just taunts you. Prosecutor Sadamani, that may be the way you conduct trials in Kurarin. But I would appreciate if you would refrain from such charged language here.
Your Honor, that was but a Kurarin sermon for those who have strayed from the path.
I didn't ask.
Harsh words are often necessary to admonish contemplative deviants who cannot see reason. Contemplative.
Oh, I see. I didn't realize that mattered. Guess they really do hate defense attorneys in Kurarin, huh? Even though they don't really have any. Even still, that was way, way over the top as far as verbal abuse goes. The trial's only just begun. Well, defense, I suppose the way a prosecutor does things varies by country. Does it? Why don't we look at this as a cross-cultural exchange and try to be open-minded about it? What? Bailiff, please bring in the first witness. Are they ever on my side? Hi, Emma. I see the chips are back. Uh-oh. I thought she said goodbye to the snackoos. Munch, 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 munch. Munch, 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 munch. Munch, munch, munch. Detective Sky. This courtroom is no place for gorging yourself. Also, get some water. What's wrong with having a little snack? Girl's gotta eat, right? She, seems a little stressed out.
Detective Sky, your testimony, please.
It's so hard to switch between different voices. Yeah, about that. I just want to state for the record that, I believe Trickery Wright is innocent. I'm sorry?
Detective Sky, this path you seek to follow is misguided. Giving the wrongdoers false hope will only deepen her despair in the end.
But
Let it go, and move on. Acts which go against your duty will earn you a divine punishment from the Holy Mother.
Oh no, went from munch to chew. Fine, I don't know about the divine part, but I get the punishment bit loud and clear. Guess Emma's got tons of paperwork or something for sticking up to for Trickery. She and Prosecutor Sadamani don't seem to get along very well, do they?
Shall we continue? The prosecution contends that the accused has a clear motive.
She doesn't.
The evidence, if you would, Detective Sky.
Alright. Please take a look at this poster. The Troop Grammary poster in 13 years ago. Huh? Just me or a little different from the one in Miss Wright's dressing room. This is a revised version of that poster. This one says cancelled under Mr. Reyes. That's right, Mr. Reyes left the troop after the first version of the poster was printed. Did he? Take a look at Mr. Reyes' right forearm near his elbow. See the big scar there? Apparently got that when he made a mistake while practicing a magic trick. Ouch, that's quite a scar. Is it? Because of the accident, Magnifi Grammary concluded that Mr. Reyes was too unskilled. Just before the show was open, Magnifi announced that Mr. Reyes wouldn't be appearing. But in defiance of Magnifi's decision, Mr. Reyes tried to go on stage anyway. This in turn caused Magnifi to oust Mr. Reyes from the troupe on the spot. He kicked Mr. Reyes out. Seemed rather extreme. Did he really hope to go with that? Did he really have to go that far?
When it came to magic, Troop Grammary was so passionate Or should I say extreme about it? Say extreme about it that it caused problems for them from time to time.
Yes, they even caused this court a mountain of trouble with their extreme antics.
And now, the troop's successor has committed a murder. Seems the troop's rare talent was inherited by the right person after all. A putrid talent for criminality.
Uh-huh. Could you, calm down a little? You sound rather extreme yourself, prosecutor.
Criminals with impure souls do not deserve sympathy, Your Honor.
Ahem. As I was saying, after his explosion, Mr. Reyes apparently went to hold a grudge against the troop.
He would tell those close to him, I will get my revenge on Troop Gramarye someday.
Revenge, That certainly sounds antagonistic. It's a shame they're all dead. I think.
And then, his chance for revenge finally came. If you'd be so kind, Detective Sky.
I guess I don't have a choice, do I? Uh-huh. You should really come up with something other than witness testimony. She wasn't there. She's not really a witness. The victim planned to get his revenge on Troop Gramarye during the Trucy's magic show. Mr. Reyes was going to first steal the Gramarye notebook from the defendant. He then intended to reveal the secrets behind their magic tricks during the show. That was the victim's plan for revenge, and while he did in fact steal the notebook, the defendant murdered him before he had a chance to reveal the secrets.
By the time the accuser discovered the notebook's theft, it was too late.
But she didn't.
Her only option was to kill Mr. Reyes and make it look like an accident.
Objection, that's conjecture. Nothing but conjecture.
Objection. The victim's assistant, Bonnie DeFame, gave the police a statement. She testified that just before the start of the show, Mr. Reyes said, "I'm going to reveal all the Troop Gramarye's secrets on stage today."
What? Huh, well, that isn't exactly a great starting point for a rebuttal, is it? You're telling me.
Allow me to give you one piece of advice, defense.
Oh, what's that?
Let it go and move on.
Excuse me?
Helping a sinner will only sully your own soul. One possessed of an unclean soul will burn in the flames of hell, and then be ever burdened with that sin in their next life.
But I don't believe that sort of thing. Besides, I have no intention of giving up.
Oh, Holy Mother, grant me the strength to deal with this putrid lawyer. All actions have consequences, and yours will surely earn you the honor of being a mere stink bug at best in your next life.
Yeah, well, you'll end up as dirt. A stink bug? How did Mr. Stink... I mean, Mr. Justice. Your cross-examination, please.
He was too on board with calling him a stink bug. Like, right away.
Is it the hair? Does it look like antenna? The icons are different, aren't they? I don't remember them being badges. Hold it! Revenge after all this time? It's been 13 years already! Yeah, there was something else in the last case, but I guess that was in a different courtroom. I know, right? I thought that was pretty sketchy myself. I mean, wouldn't he have done it a long time ago if he was gonna do it? After all. Yeah, I thought so.
Detective Sky, self-indulgent outbursts such as those will earn you divine punishment in the form of a salary evaluation.
Dang it. Wait, do you even work for him? Wait, that's what divine punishment means? That's not very holy or motherly.
Let the detective have her stack. The humble servant of the Holy Mother shall explain. Over a decade ago, Troop Gramarye was at the height of their popularity, but then their reputation declined and they had all but faded from public memory. Until recently, that is, when Trucy Wrights sought to recapture their former glory.
The defendant? At such a young age, too. How impressive.
Yes, the accused's skill at magic is undeniably impressive. If she hadn't fallen into the path of sin, she would have had a bright future ahead of her.
It's always sad to see such promising young potential go to waste. Now then, Detective Sky, how did Mr. Reyes plan to get his revenge? And please put down the stack ooze before you continue with your testimony.
Much. Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, this guy's already a pretty big chump. Nothing he said so far makes any sense. What evidence do you have that Mr. Reyes actually stole the notebook, other than the fact that I found it there?
Well, you see,
Whenever you're ready, Detective.
Fret not, Detective Sky, you have nothing to repent for. You should be proud of the fine forensic discovery that you made.
Forensic discovery? What did she discover specifically?
Detective Sky identified a certain set of fingerprints on the notebook. Upon further inspection, he determined that they belonged to Mr. Reyes.
What?
The detective found the fingerprints entirely on her own volition. For that, I must say well done, Detective Sky.
It's fine, you're just doing your job. Getting a little too addicted with using your precious white powder, did you, Emma?
Now then, Detective Sky, I would like you to explain exactly how Mr. Reyes intended to use the notebook to exact his revenge.
Alright, well first, he stole the notebook.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. I didn't steal the notebook. Sorry, but what exactly is the basis for claiming it was murder? Beats me. What? The basis beats me? I had to ask Prosecutor Sadamati over there, cause he hasn't told me his reasoning either.
Detective Sky, your feeding information to the defense has not gone unnoticed by my eyes, even though they are closed at the moment. The bad karma of acts which go against your duty will impinge upon you in the next life. But even before that, it may impinge upon your job in the form of a transfer.
Again, she doesn't work under you.
Please don't get me kicked out of the forensic unit, anything but that.
Poor Emma, she's really been risking everything for us. Well, Prosecutor Sadamati, what are your grounds for claiming it's homicide?
It was the luminous tape in the understage passage. I realized that it had been moved. Moved that so Mr. Reyes would climb up into the downstage coffin by mistake.
What? That's... What does that have to do with anything? What?
Mr. Reyes, who was waiting in the understage passage, was supposed to have used the upstage ladder shown on here on the left.
He wasn't.
He was to climb up to the coffin that had been set up in the backstage area. After being turned into a stuffed dragon during Act 1, Mr. Reyes was supposed to come back to life and emerge from that coffin.
Okay, that makes more sense.
But the luminous tape had been moved to mark the downstage ladder.
But they were still in Act 1. Right?
So the victim climbed into the coffin on stage itself by mistake. The very same coffin which the accused thrust her sword into.
And you have proof it was my client who moved the tape?
But of course, Detective Sky.
Huh?
Oh, that's right. Identify the defense fingerprints on the luminous tape.
You what? He actually had proof? So she's wearing gloves.
Well, defense, are you finally ready to let it go and move on?
Absolutely not. Detective, please add the information about the prints to tape to your testimony.
The defendant's prints were on the tape. I guess she must have moved it during the show.
No, that's a different thing. Here's her statement. That doesn't seem relevant yet, but... We can just watch that whenever we want? Neat. Kinda laggy, but neat. What made you think to check the luminous tape for prints? Well... I bet it was detective intuition. I dusted not just out the tape, but just about everywhere for fingerprints. I dusted the tape, the sword, and your little dragon, too. I dusted pretty much every single surface in the theater. I mean, it was so nice to be able to dust for prints without anyone getting mad at me. It's great that you're enthusiastic, Emma, but there is such a thing as too enthusiastic. The tape was moved. The guy Mr. Reyes in the cliff that was coffin that was downstage? I didn't read that right. If that's true, it does sound like a murder rather than an accident. So that doesn't help that Tricky's prints are on the tape. Wish I knew what sound would even be appropriate to make in this situation. Maybe, or the. And this is for the coffin. Yeah, I guess it would be this one, because that's the thing that says she wasn't able to put fingerprints on anything. Sorry, Detective Sky, but there's a flaw in your testimony. Oh, really? That's great. Prosecution is claiming that Miss Wright moved the understage tape during the show, in order to guide the victim to the coffin downstage. That doesn't make sense that she would leave prints on tape at the time. It doesn't. Please consider the fingerprints result of the main coffin, which shows that not one of my client's fingerprints was found on or in it. That's true. We didn't find any of her prints on that coffin. I think you realize what a flaw in your testimony is. Claiming Miss Wright left prints on the tape during the show is inconsistent with the facts. Because she was wearing gloves during the show, as she wears gloves literally every time you see her. Oh! She must have left the prints sometime before the show started. In other words, her prints do not prove she moved the tape to mislead the victim. Prosecution investigation was insufficient. Oh my. But at a personal level, I'm very happy about that. Well, Prosecutor Sadamati, if the defense's argument is true, you have no evidence the defendant moved the tape to deceive the victim. I see. Apparently the defense is more intelligent than I had thought. More than a stink bug, at any rate. You're a shield beetle at best. Come on, you can bump me up to at least a stag beetle now, can't you? Well, I got the beetle part right. Would that really be any better? Of course, way better! Stag beetles are cool, with those huge mandibles of theirs. Not like a Hercules beetle, but... If the defense wishes to be promoted to a stag beetle, then answer me this question. Alright, shoot. Even with no evidence that the accused moved the tape to misguide the victim still climbed the ladder using the tape as a guide. That's conjecture, you have no proof of that. And entered the coffin on the stage. The accused then thrust his sword into said coffin with the victim in it. What you're saying is, the fact remains the victim was stabbed to death, right? Precisely. However, this does drastically change the one aspect of this case. The accused did not lead the victim into the coffin on purpose. Then it means the victim's death could have been accidental. If it was indeed an accident, the defense can argue that it was involuntary manslaughter. Ah, his real goal. I see. If it's involuntary manslaughter, they could plead extenuating circumstances, and the severity of the crime could be mitigated. Defense, if you believe the accused did not murder the victim, then do you argue that it was an accident? This is it, the all-important question. Defense argues that Mr. Race's death was... I mean, it was definitely murder, but Trucy didn't do it. Defense maintains that the defendant is entirely innocent. Believe that it wasn't an accident, but murder. And what's more, we believe it was committed by a third party. A third party? Isn't the true culprit is someone else, as usual? That is quite a brazen claim to make, and one wholly without grounds. Your voice is as loud as your suit, and your mind echoes just as loudly as in emptiness. Surely you were but a loud red pepper in your previous life. I've been demoted to a vegetable? Well, I didn't know a person could be reincarnated as a non-sentient plant. In any case, I do have grounds to make this claim. Oh? Let us hear the reasoning of yours, then. Okay. Alright, before I get it, there's one question we need to address. If the victim was killed by some third party, then the sword the defendant thrust into the coffin wasn't the cause of death. If that is the case, then how did we wind up with a dead body inside the coffin? Very good question. Let's hear your opinion, Mr. Justice. How did the victim's body wind up inside the coffin? He was killed in the coffin. It was magic. He was killed under stage. It was magic would be funny. Oh yeah, and in the last game, it wasn't an icon at all. It was just a green bar, wasn't it? For the mischance, I mean. Well, the victim was killed under the stage before being put into the coffin. In other words, what if the victim was already dead in the coffin from the get-go? Oh, I see. In that case, the defendant's sword wouldn't have been the cause of death. How do you respond, Prosecutor Sadamati?
That is the third time.
Third time of what? Yeah. What the... How did this fit around my head? Look at that face. You know, the claims of being a monkey definitely fit when he makes a face like that. What the heck is this? Please translate. Oh. Ah! Ah, my head! What do you think you're doing?
Even the merciful Holy Mother loses patience if she is struck 3 times. Since you never learn, you need to be punished.
Why don't you let me worry about what I need and don't need?
It is what you deserve for interfering with my sacred last rites for the victim. You are a brainless lawyer chasing phantoms. You know nothing.
Your law system is literally about chasing phantoms.
Let this humble servant of the Holy Mother give you an edifying sermon.
Yeah, we already found the phantom. He got shot in the face? Hello, Survivor. Hope you're having a good day. We're fighting a foreign monk who believes in the Holy Mother and refuses to listen to anything anyone else says. So he's like any other prosecutor, but, you know. He, talks to himself more, I guess.
Let this humble servant of the Holy Mother give you an edifying sermon.
A sermon? Now?
There is a passage in the sacred scriptures of Quranism. A cornered frog will swallow even a snake.
Huh? A cornered lawyer has unexpectedly struck back hard against the prosecution. Did I get it right?
No, for I am not done with my sermon. And yet the frog still dies, its belly bitten and torn from within.
Just great. That poor frog.
And in this case, you are that frog, Defense.
Uh-huh. What exactly is your point, anyway?
Let us assume for a moment that the victim was killed under the stage. Who, then, had the opportunity to do so during the show?
Literally anyone else. Let's see, the people in the show were...
Bonnie DeFam, the victim, Mr. Reyes, and Trucy Wright, and a mysterious fourth party we haven't identified yet. Bonnie DeFam was on stage throughout the entire show, as easily confirmed by the footage from the show. Which leaves us with only one suspect, Trucy Wright.
Not really.
Now do you see? I will now perform alchemy and turn this bench into your grave. The accused killed Mr. Reyes as he waited on standby in the understage passage, and then placed his dead body in the coffin above, thus making the murder look like an accident.
It's a reminder that our defendant is a teenage girl. Just throw that out there.
O great and merciful Holy Mother, thus another putrid mind has been guided towards enlightenment.
Can't believe I swallowed his trick question whole. Like a snake. He does randomly summon a ghost butterfly. Objection. Sorry, but I have to raise an objection here. Athena? You're here? There's something I want to point out, Apollo.
And who might you be? You strike me as a mere child in countenance.
There's the guy playing with butterflies. I may be young, but I have an attorney's badge just the same.
And you would contribute to the discussion in that capacity?
I most certainly would. Beep boop.
Oh, are we doing this?
You just argued the defendant killed the victim under the stage. But then reminded that Miss Wright is a girl.
Well, I'd go with the teenage part before going with the girl part, but that's just me. Clearly. Surely you wouldn't raise an objection simply to point out such an obvious fact. Your Honor, please send for this little child's guardian to come take her home.
Joke's on you, he's in another country. Your country, in fact. No, she's right. But I'm not done with my sermon. You don't need to talk like Prosecutor Satamati, you know.
It's the only thing he'll listen to.
Listen, if the victim was killed in the understage passage, then his body would have to have been hauled up to the stage, right? However, Miss Wright is a young girl, and a pretty petite one at that.
Yeah?
She couldn't possibly have hefted that large body up and put it in the coffin.
That's true. Does seem like it'd be a rather difficult task for the defendant. Well, I know I pointed it out first, but I'm glad they realized that part at least. I don't think even I could do it. I mean, I'm pretty petite. The robe just makes me look pretty big.
What do you think of that, Prosecutor? Who's the child now?
In my religion, the priestesses of Kurism are revered as pillars of our beliefs. And they're very good at dancing. So I naturally hold nothing but deep respect for women. I also think highly of the female perspective.
Says the man who called his fair maiden a little child. Who's a fair maiden?
I agree your point is worth discussing, Defense. How indeed was the dead body raised up to the coffin? By the accused Trucy Wright, that is.
You're committed to pointing the finger at her no matter what, huh? Then you explain how that even be possible.
But of course.
I mean, he's gonna say they used the spring thing, but
there was a way for even a small creature like her to raise the victim's body up.
Huh? Wait. You really can explain it?
I foresaw that our arguments would come to this, so I prepared a witness.
Well, well, I admire your readiness, Prosecutor.
It is really not that difficult when one can read the ultimate outcome of any trial.
He really couldn't have predicted things would turn out like this, could he? It's pretty hard to believe. Excuse me, may I step down now? You have to ask. Yes, I suppose you may.
One moment, Detective Sky.
I'm sorry for, the way I handled all this.
You did a fine job, Detective. Your testimony was invaluable.
It was? Of course it was.
Yes, you served well as a detective and did not allow your personal feelings to interfere, except for the 5 times they did. You overcame the conflicted emotions you felt and performed your duty admirably. You will be rewarded for your fine work.
That translate to a pay raise? Oh, thank you?
I hope we can work together again in the future.
Emma seems bewildered by the unexpected praise. Guess he's a pretty nice person like they say, as long as you're not up against him. Now then, let's call the next witness. Why are we starting at her feet? Why isn't she behind the witness stand?
Witness, please state your name and occupation.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the court. It's very nice to meet all of you. I'm lagomorphing illusionist from the land of fairy tales, Bonnie to fame. They give everyone a pan now? No, they didn't give... Did they give Aldi a pan? I don't remember. And they didn't give Emma one. I can't wait to do some magic tricks for all of you!
Please, witness. There is a time and place for all things, including magic.
Aw, but it would be okay if I just do a little magic trick, right? Come on, please. Look, everybody's waiting. Now's my chance to shine.
No. Objection. That is your second time.
My second time doing what?
There will be no further warnings. You should know that from our preparatory meeting, correct?
They give most people one? We'll see, I guess. No one exempt from His Holiness' rosary of suffering. Maybe have your testimony, witness, once you've recovered from your disappointment. I hope he doesn't throw it at the judge. He probably will, but I hope he doesn't. Well, as a huge fan of Trucy's, I don't really want to testify against her, even though I already did. But I guess I have to, don't I? As a huge fan of Trucy's, huh? Huh, I hate her. I loathe her. Can't stand that Trucy Wright. Just because she's a little good at magic, she thinks she's all that. This is exactly what that stifling brat deserves. Yeah, you're a real fan, alright, of destroying Trucy, you mean. The understates passage. I really can't believe that Trucy killed Mr. Reyes. I guess it's possible for a small girl to lift a dead body if she used a stage lift. Is it possible? Could Trucy really have... If Trucy did use a stage lift, I think she must have used stage lift number 2. I was on stage the entire show, by the way. Uh-huh. You were on stage the whole time, and you're sure about that?
There is no question. The entire audience could testify to that fact, and we have it, footage. What's more, she is shown clearly on the TV show footage as well.
I couldn't possibly have killed Mr. Reyes, not little old me.
Therefore, the only person who could have killed the victim understage is the accused. Or, literally anybody else working there. Furthermore, using a stage lift, even a petite young lady could have raised the body up to the stage without difficulty.
Yeah, by the way, I totally didn't do it. I didn't stab that guy in the back, and I'm definitely not metaphorically stabbing Trucy in the back. Gotta be kidding me. Hey, well, defense may now cross-examine the witness. At least I'm not being told that that's pointless. That's always a pain. Uh-huh. I'm still expecting this candy cane to have a blade in it. Stage lift number 2. mean stage lift shown here on the left? Why is that rat in my flashback? That's right, with the stage lift. I think even a small girl could easily lift a dead body up from the stage. And that makes her the murderer in your opinion? Of course not, I believe in Trucy. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of hers. Yeah, the rat stood out the most. Can we have the testimony of the rat? Clearly it saw everything. And I would trust it more than these rats. Oh, brother. How long is she gonna keep this act up?
Defense, what's your position against stage lift number 2 in the after show? What position?
Let's see, if I recall, it was in the fully raised position. Ah!
And the reason why it was fully raised is because the accused used it to lift the victim's body. Wouldn't you agree?
No?
Feel free to slowly mull it over while you roast over the flames of hell. You evil red pepper!
And now I'm also evil? I guess he doesn't like spicy food. Yeah, she did. But, you know, they forget everything. Now that's just saying that they moved it. Okay, this one. Right? I don't know. Nope, not this one. There's one part of the testimony is inconsistent with the evidence. Because it was already up, you chump. Alright, so it wasn't that one. Also, I forgot to do that. There we go. It disappeared, like magic! The murder occurred during a magic show, so crazy things like this are bound to happen. Oh, really? Well, let's see how magical you think this penalty is. Wow! My chances of winning disappeared. Seems pretty normal to me, Your Honor. Well, they won't magically come back, that's for sure. And what am I presenting? I don't know. Is what possible? Could Trucy really have what, Mr. Fame? Please finish your sentence. I... Don't try to beat around the bush. Come right out and say it. Why not tell this court what you really believe? What I really believe? Of course I don't believe Trucy could ever commit murder. Such an amazing and wonderful magician could never do such a thing. But taking all the facts into account, what else can I think? And there are at least 3 other unflattering things you really think about Trucy.
Satoru! How can you attack this girl when she's obviously speaking with reserve?
Prosecutor hypocritical. There's such a thing as reading between the lines, Mr. Justice. Sad how the youth of today lack the ability to do such a basic thing. Looking at me like that is gonna help stick my foot in my mouth less, Your Honor.
Witness, please describe what the accused might have used to lift the dead body.
Alright. Now, this is the only one I could think of, but the stage lift 2 wasn't, right? Did I use her testimony? But that doesn't really seem like it would. It's hard to trust your gut when your gut is always wrong. Yeah, but I already pressed. I guess I didn't press everything, though. Didn't have a single spare moment to slip down to the understage passage? Huh? Don't tell me you suspect me now. I'm just trying to do my job to fully examine your alibi. Depending on how solid it is, I might have to suspect you, yes. You gotta be kidding me. Don't spit on my head and tell me it's raining, lawyer boy. I'm right here in the footage. I'm right there in the footage. Are you too much of an idiot to see? Huh? Mr. Fab, are you feeling alright? You seem suddenly different. Oh, oops. Where did that come from, right? Oh my. Seemed to have snapped there for a second, didn't I? You didn't just snap, you broke character just now. In any case, I was on stage the whole time, performing magic. I mean, you saw me in the footage, right? My dazzling and flawless performance. Flawless? That's odd, considering what you told me. Said you made a mistake with where you positioned Mr. Hat. Mr. Fab, to what is the defense referring? But, well, I made a little mistake on stage. I was in charge of operating Mr. Hat, you see. According to the script, I was supposed to place him on the left of the coffin. But I flubbed it up and made him stand to the right of the coffin instead. And because of that mistake, Trucy had to move the stage lifts around. I feel really bad about messing Trucy up like that with my goof. Hee hee. Darn it, I don't see any consistencies in her testimony. Except I do. Hee hee hee. Now do you know who the real killer is? Come on, Gramps, don't just sit there. Hand down your ruling, pronto. Do it quick before you keel over up there. I beg your pardon? Oops. I mean, what's gotten into me? I'm so sorry. And give her another 5 minutes before she tears off that mask.
Well, defense. Are you ready to let it all go now?
Did you stop quoting Frozen? Of course not. I'll never give up.
I see. I suppose this too is fate. The sacred scriptures of Kuranism describe a variety of hells for the danged. For someone like you who struggles ceaselessly against his fate, Papal Bulgig seems the most appropriate.
What? Oh wait, that's Kuranese. What sort of terrible place is people boil?
A place where the more one struggles, the further one falls into the abyss. At the bottom of the abyss, a ferocious beast awaits. Think of it as something akin to an antlion's sandpit trap.
But aren't I a pepper now? I'm not a beetle anymore. Ah, there's one of those in my backyard! Okay. Wow, Curious Tale is closer to home than I thought. Beside the judge. Now then, appear that the witness's testimony supports the prosecution's claim. That defendant is the only one who could have killed the victim on the stage. Yeah, how are we supposed to get out of this jam? I don't have any peanut butter. Hey Apollo, if you can't find any contradictions, maybe it's time to use an analytical psychology. Is he gonna allow that? You mean... I heard some discord in Bonnie's voice while she was testifying. Was she not actually always there? See? Witch is picking up the noise in her heart too. That's right, Athena can hear things others can't with her super sensitive hearing. She can hear the emotions people suppress as a kind of noise or discord in their voices. It must be really painful to hear all the people in the gallery just watching. Alright, Athena, let's give it a try. You got it! Hold it, Your Honor. I'm afraid that our witness, Miss Defame, is suffering under terrible traumatic stress due to this horrible incident. He is? Yeah. What with that terrible death on stage and her beloved Trucy getting arrested, she's under awful strain and shock. In fact, I don't know how much more she can take before she's unfit to testify. What? Oh, I've heard of that. What is it called? Postal stress disorder, right? Where a person becomes uncontrollably angry, I think. I read about it somewhere. That's going postal, Your Honor. This is PTSD. Oh my, that's why the witness acts so hostile at times, if she were a different person. Uh-huh. I think her condition is clouding her memory of the incident. Therefore, I suggest a short therapy session for the witness. Huh? Therapy? You don't know the first thing about magician's mental strength. I risked my life jumping through rings of fire and having my body sawn in half. Oops. Boy, I have to watch my temper, don't I? Oh. Miss Sykes, please do whatever you can to help this unfortunate young lady.
And what exactly is this child planning to do, Mr. Justice?
With her super sensitive hearing, Miss Sykes can hear a witness's true emotions. Simply from tone and inflection, she can tell exactly what a person's feeling. I can even pick apart feelings that a witness is trying to suppress or hide. Widget projects the emotions I hear into a mood matrix where I can analyze them.
Sounds like some sort of spurious devilry. Though I find it hard to believe, I must ask, how do emotions constitute evidence?
Well, I won't say emotions can be taken as evidence, per se. I have seen how instrumental Miss Sykes' work has been in cracking a case. Therefore, I wholly support giving it a try.
It's a good thing we only have one judge nowadays. If it was the orange-haired judge, we might have a problem. I can't remember the last time we saw him, though. I see. If you're in favor of it, Your Honor, then I have no objections. Even this mere monk can see that something disturbs the witness.
Heh! I'll disturb you, upside the head. Thank you for understanding, Prosecutor Sadamati. Apollo, you remember how to conduct a therapy session, right? You want me to lead the session? Of course! You're the lead on this case, after all. Fair enough, but do I need a refresher?
No. I'm good.
I think I still remember from the last time, so let's get right to it. Okie dokie.
Yeah, skip tutorial. My favorite witness.
You ready, Widget? Let's do this.
I don't know everything. I just ad-libbed the future. Welcome back from the store. I hope you didn't buy this lady's story.
I guess Trucy's the one who killed Mr. Reyes. Even she can move the body with that lift.
Also, you know, look at this smug Trucy face.
I was on stage the whole time. And that terrible mistake. My stupid flub caused Trucy so much trouble. I feel so bad about it.
Whoops.
Okay, so look for inconsistencies between your testimony and emotions, right? Like you said, I was happy when the sad markers lit up, or if the sad markers doesn't react even though she was feeling down.
I pressed the button too many times. Like, there's a pretty obvious one there. Yeah. You'll probably never see Trucy look so evil again. At least with these sprites. Boop.
Why are you happy if you feel bad? I have to say, Mr. Fame, you certainly are a strange one. Even though you said I feel so bad about it, seems you were feeling happy about it. I mean, ow. Think I can guess why you were feeling happy. Must be because... I think you were happy because you messed the defendant up. I'm right, aren't I? You gotta be kidding me. Why would I be happy if I messed Trucy up? I'm a big fan of hers. Because we saw you. I hate her. I loathe her. That rat saw you too. He'll be testifying next. I can't stand that Trucy Wright. Just because she's a little good at magic, she thinks she's all that. Well, I've got the bag of chips. And this is exactly what that sniveling brat deserves. You saw you said you hated Trucy Wright. How you were glad she was in trouble. And even how it was what she deserved. Ow! Looks like I hit the bunny on the head, so to speak. 50%. Apollo, the noise level dropped. Now if we could get down to 0%... Well, Mr. Fame, you ready to confess how you really feel? But what? What do you mean? I'm Bonnie, the sweet, cute little bunny. I'm a rookie magician working hard just to be like my idol, Trucy. That's the character I'm supposed to be. Keep that up, Mr. Fame, and you're gonna have a mental breakdown. Where'd the screen go? Just let yourself be who you really are. Who I really am? Two sides of you are fighting each other and doing your psyche harm. I can hear them. Two distinct voices battling it out inside you. Shut your pie hole, you know-nothing know-it-all. I mean, you mustn't say things like that, or I might get flustered. Mr. Fame, how long do you insist on maintaining this wolf in sheep's clothing act? Or, rabbit in sheep's clothing, wolf in rabbit's clothing? Can't end this therapy session until you get real with this. Set the wild beast inside you free! Ow! Oh no. Sinister. Don't make me laugh. You don't know a dang thing about me. You wanna see who I really am? Fine. Take a good look. Huh? Oh no! She was a bat! Hee. What in the world? Sheep's clothing, you got it all wrong. It's a rabbit suit I got on. And I'm not a wolf, I'm a blood-sucking vampire. With a bat with fangs and wings. Hee. I think we just opened Pandora's box. It's Bonnie's box now. I'm finally done with the goody two-shoes cottontail act. I feel free as a bat. Hee. Well, I was right about the cane being something, but it wasn't a blade. Friends, your therapy session has taken a turn for the worse from the looks of it. There's a perfectly good explanation for this. Isn't there, Miss Sykes? Huh, Athena? Methinks I created a monster. Me blow it. Oh no. Hey you, lobster boy. Who, me? You think I'm glad Trucy's in trouble? That I think she's getting her just desserts? Well, guess what? You're right. Does this mean you admit to wishing the defendant harm? But the bat's out of the bag now. That mistake of mine was a work of art. Thanks to my goof, poor little Trucy had to do all that hard physical labor. And when you say hard physical labor, what are you referring to? Because of Mr. Hat's new position, Trucy had to move both the huge stage lifts. They must have been so heavy. What a riot! That's strange. Lena, could you please add that last statement to Bonnie's testimony? Alright, I'll update the moon matrix with new info. Huh? Hey, Apollo. Now here's a new inconsistency in the testimony. Yeah, she finally slipped up, so what do I need to do now? Well, from this point on, you just need to do what you do best. Yell? No. Find the contradiction in the testimony, present evidence to refute it. Alright, I've got you now, Bonnie to Fame. Yeah, present evidence by yelling. You know what? Serves her right. Hee. Think that she ended up having to move the stage lifts. And now I present the thing. Objection! That doesn't make sense. He? What? You think I'm crazy now? No, I mean yes, but no, that's not the point I was trying to make. You didn't deny it. I don't hear you denying it. Yep. Mr. Fame, allow me to repeat your statement. Thanks to that, she ended up having to move the stage lifts.
Hee, that's right. And I still say that's just what she did.
How did you know? How did you know Miss Wright moved the stage lifts?
Huh?
According to her own statement, she didn't tell anyone that she had done so.
But what?
How could you possibly have known what she had done unless you saw her? You saw Miss Wright moving the lifts in the understage passage, didn't you? Where did that wind come from? Mm-hmm. 0.
Bye-bye.
You did it, Apollo. Noise levels are at 0%.
But Mr. Justice, wouldn't that mean...
Yes, Your Honor. Miss DeFame herself was under the stage when the victim was killed. And I hardly need to tell the court what that means. You are one artful liar, Miss DeFame, and one spectacular suspect. Will the prosecution argue now?
Why, you shiny red lobster boy. You saying I killed Mr. Reyes?
I'm saying it's a possibility. What's more, I say you had a solid motive to frame my client for the murder as well.
Objection. My apologies for raining on the defense's merry revelry.
It's called a parade.
But you seem to have forgotten one very important point.
Oh, really?
The TV footage. As you can clearly see, Mr. Pham was on stage the whole time. The entire audience can bear witness to that fact, including you.
Oh, yeah, well...
You have just taken a long and senseless journey only to return to the starting line. The witness could not have been in the understage passage. Which means... the only one left who could have killed the victim is the accused.
Guess the party's over. But, Miss DeFame knew something she couldn't have known unless she was under the stage. How do you explain that, Prosecutor Sadamati?
It's quite simple. The accused must have told Miss DeFame about it, but then forgot.
That doesn't...
Ha! Open those useless eyes of yours and take a good look at the footage.
Miss DeFame really was in the understage passage. It would mean she was on stage and understage at the same time. Means she was in 2 places at once? That does seem to be the only explanation that makes any sense. Maybe an explanation, but I'm not so sure about the makes sense part. You always have to make it make sense. Your Honor, the witness was both on stage and understage at the same time. That's the defense's assertion.
I've heard some illogical things come out of you before, but this is absurd.
Is this the most absurd thing? I'm sure you'll change your tune once you hear my reasoning, Your Honor.
My gut tells me you're bluffing, but I'll bite.
When are we not bluffing?
Very well, Mr. Justice. How do you explain the witness was in 2 places at once?
There were 2 Bonnies? Well, I mean, that's... These are technically the same thing. She teleported is funny. The Bonnie and DeFame on stage was fake.
Fake? Really?
Such an assertion is not something one would expect to hear from a genuine lawyer.
I don't want to hear that from you.
Oh, maybe you were the fake and your attorney's badge is made out of cardboard. That's happened before.
No, I'm the real thing, I swear. Am I cardboard, specifically?
Let's just say I had an infuriating experience once thanks to one. In any case, your fake Bonnie theory doesn't sound very convincing.
It's not a bad idea in theory. I think the one on stage was the real Bonnie. You can just tell. One on stage wasn't fake. I'm also glad I picked that one. The callbacks are nice. I mean, the one on stage was real too? Please let me try again, Your Honor.
Very well, Mr. Justice. How do you explain the witness was in 2 places at once?
Now I need to just Bonnie. But it's all fake. There were 2 Bonnies, Your Honor. If that were the case, it would all make sense, wouldn't it? There were 2 of them? I suspect you had a few screws loose, but now I see some are missing altogether. Is there a toolkit in this courtroom, Your Honor? There is, actually. I suppose 3 screws to the head should righten this putrid brain. Very well. Bailiff, could you... Hold it. Hang on. No, wait. Please listen to my argument. Very well. If bailiff, put it back. Or it wouldn't hurt to at least give it a listen. As it was argued earlier, Mr. Pham has showed her the footage the whole time. But at the same time, she was also watching Miss Wright under stage passage. The only one possible explanation is that there are 2 Bonnies. That almost sounds like it does make sense. What do you think, Prosecutor Satamati?
This humble servant of the Holy Mother is of the opinion that we should lose no time in replacing the defense's many lost screws.
But Apollo goes against reality itself to say that one person is actually 2. But we don't have to be bound by reality. After all, we're talking about magic here. So if the Bonnie to Pham in the footage is the real Bonnie, and the Bonnie here in the witness stand, the one who must have been understage, this Bonnie to Pham is our second Bonnie. She is? Say we call the one in front of us Bonnie number 2. I believe I have just a piece of evidence that proves that Miss Bonnie number 2 exists. Oh? Please submit your evidence, Mr. Justice. And submit it to me, too. What proves the existence of Bonnie number 2? Is it the teleportation trick? I suspected that one right away, but... Make sure there's not another... Okay, these don't matter. Alright, I will assume it is the show script. I'm hesitating because I don't know, but oh well, I've got plenty of hits left. Phew. Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? No. Not in the slightest. What a coincidence. I was thinking the same thing. Alright, so that's not the teleport trick. Really made him mad this time. Another Bonnie, huh? A Bonnie number 2. Basically the same yet unknown third party that was there in the theater, right? Exactly, and I believe we have a piece of the evidence that proves such a person exists. If only I could translate that to logical stuff. Well, no, I won't let you get away with further shenanigans. Well, I'll let you get away with 3 more shenanigans. Only 3, though. I mean, we know the fingerprints one, but I don't know if that proves anything. Does it? I forget if she actually touched the thing. Can we see it here? No, it doesn't really look like it. Uh-huh. She doesn't touch it there. There's also the problem of waiting so many days to continue. I don't remember the actual scene. but I guess the fingerprints are the only ones, right? It's the only one that makes sense. So, if I fail horribly, someone's banned. I'll ban random bot number 3. You know, I'm being attacked. Okay, it's gone. Okay. I was thinking too logically.
What's this? During our investigation, we found a set of unknown prints, not footprints, just regular prints, on the coffin on the stage. These prints were most likely left during the course of the show. But they didn't match the prints of any of the people involved in this case.
An unknown third party's fingerprints? Why wasn't I informed of this? I was not told of this.
He must have kept it from him. Now the question is, who could these prints possibly belong to? Mr. Pham, or should I say Bonnie number 2. These are your fingerprints, aren't they? Kyag!
Enough of this foolishness. One person could not possibly be 2.
You're too much.
Those fingerprints could have been left not only during the show, but at any time.
Objection? Not like you to lose your cool like that, Prosecutor Sanamati. And I'm sure you know that. Exactly when the fingerprints were made is not the main issue. What do you mean by that, Mr. Justice? The issue is who do these unknown prints belong to? They're certainly not Bonnie to Pham's. But what if they belong to a person standing right in front of us? Oh! You mean Bonnie number 2 is the second Bonnie? Is that what you're implying?
It's preposterous to suggest that those prints belong to the witness. I say they must belong to some other unknown individual.
Prosecutor Sadamati, can you really look at her and still say that? What are you looking at? Take a picture, it'll last longer. If I bash your face in.
How could this be?
We check your prints, I'm sure they'll match the unknown set. Well, Bonnie, the prints that don't belong to the real you belong to you, don't they, Bonnie number 2? Welcome back, Kimmy. Yeah. Witness, what the defense has said true? Fine, I admit it. Fingerprints are mine. Then does that mean you aren't Bonnie DeFam?
What? Ridiculous.
Are there really 2 Bonnies?
I hope you enjoy. I've never seen Game of Thrones and probably never will.
Nope, there's only 1 Bonnie. That's because I'm Betty. Betty DeFam.
Surprised you're not Batty.
Ladies and gentlemen of the court, it's time for a wondrous magic show. Gasp in amazement as the logomorphing illusionist performs her teleportation magic. Watch closely, it's showtime! Ta-da!
Does the other one just awkwardly walk through the door?
I'm over here!
Athena seems pretty okay with it, and this guy doesn't care.
And now I'm over here.
Yep. I think I called that right away. There's 2. That's why there were 2 rabbits.
What an amazing trick! The witnesses suddenly split into 2 people! It's not a trick, no gimmick to it either. We're simply twins! What? Why are you surprised? So that's how the teleportation trick works. Ever since our debut, we had to hide to pretend I'm Bonnie. I'm cute and sweet and all cute and sweet and goody goody. Can't tell you how stressful it's been. But I don't have to hide anymore. That's right, our days of sneaking around are finally over. Their cover's blown, but they actually seem pretty happy about it. So which one of you is the nice Bonnie to Fam when we met in the dressing room? That would be me. And the sharp-tongued Bonnie we saw with Ratings Raja under stage was... Hey, who are you calling sharp-tongued? It's all starting to make sense now. Yeah, I'm so smart. Oh, Mr. Justice changed the facts of the case rather dramatically, doesn't it? Certainly does. During the show, it was Bonnie who was on stage the whole time. But Bonnie couldn't have committed the crime. Betty, on the other hand, who was understage, did have the opportunity. Ugh. Well, wow! Now we have 2 suspects. Hold it, wait just a minute there, lobster boy. I didn't do it. That's right, Betty might have a foul mouth, but she never killed anybody. Hey! Who's got a foul mouth here? Oh, well, speak up, huh? Hold it. Please save your sibling squabbling for later. Betty, you must have been under the stage passage during the show. Otherwise, you wouldn't have known about the stage lifts being moved. So what exactly were you doing down there? Fine, I'll testify. Anything to get you off my back. Prosecutor Salamani, Betty DeFam is ready to testify. What do you say?
Betty, you lied to this humble servant of the Holy Mother.
Like I care. Hey, what else could I do? I couldn't blow our cover and ruin the magic act. Hee hee. Besides, am I gonna go to your Twilight Hell or whatever for being a liar?
You will indeed. However, it won't be after your death. Rather, I shall give you a taste of your punishment on this mortal coil in interrogation hell.
Now then, Betty DeFam. You know, I get that he forgave him for threatening us, but he should probably get in trouble for threatening a witness, even if she is batty. Please explain to this court what exactly you were doing under the stage. Oh good, there's 2 now. It's true, I had business in the understage passage because of the upcoming trick. It was the fire trick, right? The one Mr. Reyes was supposed to do? That's right. Very dangerous trick, so I had to make sure we were prepared for it. It was in the script and I really wanted to see it, but I couldn't because of the accident. Hey, shut up, you're gonna give it away. Anyway, I was real busy. Yeah, way too busy to have a chance to kill Mr. Reyes. Yeah, that was certainly different. Hee how's that for flawless testimony and alibi? Not flawless at all. I'm magic is real, it's not a trick or gimmick. Oh my, she's floating! You can definitely see her hands. Your Honor. You can see she's being held up from below. You're supposed to pretend you didn't see that. It's a little something called etiquette. But I can't help it. Whenever I see a contradiction or inconsistency, I just have to point it out. Oh no, Mr. Wright has trained me too well. Actual flight. No strings is needed. Now, the defense may begin its cross-examination. Bonnie, we're trying to get Betty's testimony right now, so... Oh, right. I'm sorry. You can step down if you like. Step down? I'm worried about Betty, though. She can lose her temper and say awful things sometimes. Hey, what are you, my mother? Don't forget, I'm the older sister. You got out last. Yeah, I got it. I guess I worry about Mount Betty constantly blowing her top if I were Bonnie, too. So Betty, you were understage getting ready for the fire trick, were you? And you were taking every necessary precaution, is that right? Of course, every precaution. After all, it's a very dangerous trick that uses real fire. I mean, we had to be ready in case a curtain caught on fire or something, right? By the time people realized it wasn't part of the act, it might be too late, huh? If by people you mean the Athena Sykes, then yes. Whoa. I know it's a fire trick, but you don't have to burn her like that. Wow, a fire trick. Sounds really impressive. Hee your beard to go up in smoke, old man. Bet people mistake you for a cue ball or something without it. A cue ball? But Betty, don't be rude to the judge. Hee. Betty, you know what fire... You know that fire trick? See, the fire trick was also part of the script. Right here. See, Mr. Reyes was scheduled to perform it later in the show. Did you not get to see him practice it beforehand? No, during rehearsal he said he didn't feel well, so he couldn't breathe any fire for me. Wait, let me get this straight. He couldn't breathe fire because he wasn't feeling well? My magical powers appear to be on the wane today. That's what he said. So it was just a part of his usual, the great Mr. Reyes shtick. Really, it's too bad I didn't get to see the trick because of the incident. Which was completely unexpected, of course. Hey! So what exactly do you mean by you're gonna give it away? See, Bonnie, you and your big mouth. Now Lobster Boy wants to know what we're talking about. I'm sorry. Yes, well, if you were preparing for the next magic trick, I'm sure you wouldn't have the time to commit murder. Wow, looks like the old geezer isn't senile just yet, huh? Bet you'll have a good long life. It's already been pretty good and long. Glad to be sitting up here for at least another 10 years. Alright, next Ace Attorney game, confirmed for 2026. Goodbye, Survivor. Thanks for hanging out. And if you want to watch the rest, the VOD will be up at some point. 10 more years? I don't know about that. What did we discuss about inner monologues, Athena? This is 2026? Oh no! I'm in our universe, because this was 2016, right? Well, more power to you, I guess. In any case, I was busy, so I didn't have the time to off anybody. Well... hopefully this isn't his last trial, then. I guess I present the bucket? Always so nerve-wracking. Oh well. Hate to break it to you, Betty, but there's a big flaw in your testimony. As big as the one in that floating trick you did earlier. Oh, harsh words. Well, let me tell you something, forehead boy. No one's ever figured out how we do our teleportation trick. No one except me, you mean? Well, we have even better tricks up our sleeves. Huh? We do? But our sleeves are pretty short. I told you to keep it zipped. Now then, now don't fight, you two. Mr. Justice, what's this about a flaw in the testimony? The script has this to say about the fire trick. This'll be dangerous. Make sure the fire bucket is ready. However, we found the fire bucket lying empty backstage except for a layer of dust. I had another bucket. You didn't even attempt to get ready for the next trick, did you, Betty? You got me!
Where does the wind come from?
Betty the Flame, you would explain yourself.
Yeah, I'm glad they don't, like, hit each other while swinging the canes around.
Nothing to explain. Come on, Betty, we can't hide it any longer. You might as well tell them. Shut up! You can barely take care of yourself. Don't try to tell me what to do. Well, if neither of you will explain, I guess I'll have to. The reason Betty didn't prepare for the fire trick is because she... You didn't prepare for the fire trick because you knew, didn't you? You knew the body would be found and the show would then be cancelled. Don't be ridiculous, you insignificant speck of a man. I'm gonna yank those lame bangs of yours off. Is that what you want, huh? Objection! I don't want that. Whatever, they can grow back.
Wow. Well, I guess that's true. Phoenix's grew back every time Blackwell chopped his off. Instantly, even.
Now stop stalling and just tell us the truth already. I can't reveal my secrets, I'm a magician.
Objection. You have been chasing the shadow of an illusionary culprit, Defense. And having chanced upon a convenient target, you have let yourself get carried away.
Exactly, where's your proof, huh?
And yet, I can see that the witness's taste for false words has also been proven. I advise you to confine your deceitful trickery to your magic act, witness.
God, the deceitful trickery. As your court-appointed therapist, I'd like to add something here, Betty. You finally let yourself be who you really are. But if you continue to hide behind lies, you'll just be imprisoning your heart all over again. Huh. But all these questions mean you're trying to put me in prison for real. I'll be behind bars either way. Not mean you're admitting your guilt? Of course not. Can't believe you people. Every one of you thinks I did something I didn't do. You... Lobster Boy, Cue-Ball Geezer, Headcase Brat, Cerberus Monk.
That one's not so bad. Dogs are cool.
Cue-Ball Geezer? Headcase Brat? Really? But Betty, calm down. Come on now, deep breaths, deep breaths. Look, I'm not the murderer, I tell you. Then how did you know the show would be called off before the fire trick? I told you, we can't reveal our secrets. We're under contract. Contract? What is she talking about? Be that as it may, you're obviously a suspect in this case.
Objection.
Clap.
I'm beginning to see the karmatic threads that make up this intricate tapestry that is this case.
Huh?
Allow me to summarize your assertions, Defense. First, that the victim was killed in the understage passage. And second, that the witness and the accused are the only two who could have done it.
Exactly. Whoa. What's more, Betty knew the body would be found, and the magic show would then be called off. Therefore, it's reasonable to conclude that Betty killed the victim understage.
But what if Betty knew the show would be called off for some other reason?
Like what?
In the course of my investigation, I found it strange that the dragon set piece fell when it did.
That part is true.
That, in conjunction with the body tumbling from the coffin in such a dramatic fashion, all seemed too perfect for a mere happenstance. It was as though the entire chain of events had been planned out in advance.
Oof. Planned out.
After deciding to take this case, I scrumptiously studied everything I could about the mass media in this country. I read the newspaper, old news reports. I even browsed the tabloid magazines and interacted with the thing called the internet.
How very industrious of you. I'm impressed.
During this process, I learned about a strange practice favored by the TV world. A practice called the hidden camera prank. Betty and Bonnie, you knew about this, did you not? About the dead body appearing, the set piece falling, the show being suspended. You two were informed of this plan. By Take-Two TV in advance, correct?
Is that true? Betty, please tell him now. I can't hold it in anymore. Meh. Ah, dang it, fine, you got us. Everything prosecutor said is true. TV station paid us to cooperate with them on this plan. It was all a prank, a big setup planned out in advance. Mr. Ray is showing up dead in the coffin. Then the set piece falling down. It was all completely scripted.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm just gonna go and stab people in the back with a sword now and be like, what? It's fine. It's just a prank. Look, there's a camera right there. What, you don't have the spine to enjoy such a simple prank anymore? Or is he still alive?
It was all a prank!
But also, if he... Well, I guess he didn't know about Betty. Bonnie, is this really true?
Yeah, Mr. Reyes was supposed to pretend to be dead. That's how it was supposed to go.
Now he was in on it too.
That's right, he was supposed to show up dead in the coffin. And then the set piece would fall down. Truce would be shocked and start to panic. That's how the prank script went.
What? What the heck kind of prank is that?
But we never thought he'd actually wind up dead. Yeah, that was the only thing that was different from the script. Poor Mr. Reyes.
Or is he actually dead?
I'm so completely lost right now.
Well, Betty and Bonnie, it certainly sounds like you have some explaining to do.
Alright. Guess desperate times calls for desperate measures. We'll use our teleporting act number 2 and leave. Just this once, we'll share how it was done with you. So listen carefully. You'll never hear this kind of thing anywhere else.
Oh, it's a bat now. I'm glad bats don't eat rabbits.
After our teleportation trick, we went to understage. When Mr. Reyes' body appeared from the coffin on stage, it was time for Betty to do her job in the understage passage. That's right, I used the remote control over the winch connected to the dragon set piece. Boop. And made it fall down.
That's a pretty expensive prank. That can't be cheap.
And just before the dragon fell, I called Trucy to the backstage so she wouldn't get hurt. After that, the plan was for Mr. Reyes to come back to life in front of a panicked Trucy. He's supposed to laugh and fly up and away. That's how it was scripted anyway. But for some reason, he really did turn up dead, so he kinda just stayed on the ground. What kind of sick joke is that?
Sounds like a terribly mean-spirited prank to me. Poor defendant was trying to do a magic show.
I guess so. I'm sorry, Trucy. Huh, whatever. It was all the Ratings Rogers idea anyway.
Yeah, sounds like just the kind of thing a guy like him would come up with.
This is the prank plan script we got from the Ratings Raja.
Uh-huh.
Dang it, you made us break our contract. Now we won't get paid.
Where does this all leave us? Who killed the victim? And when?
Yes, exactly. Those are the key questions. If Mr. Reyes was only pretending to be dead in the coffin as part of the prank, then when he was understage, there would still be life within him. And if that is the case, then Betty, who was also understage, may be excluded from our list of suspects. Witness, was the victim alive up until he entered the coffin?
Oh, well, now that we spilled the beans, might as well show you this video.
Greetings, viewers! It is I, the great Mr. Reyes! We are currently in the middle of Trucy's escape trick. Having snuck through the understage patches undetected, I am now hiding backstage, preparing to play a little prank on Trucy, where I'll die. I'm about to hide in the coffin, which Trucy will stab with her rubber sword, and when the coffin opens, ho-ho, I will be in it, acting as though I've met my maker. Can you imagine the look on Trucy's face then? Ho-ho, I can hardly wait. Uh-huh.
He's about to hide in the coffin?
It would seem the threads of karmatic destiny have led us to the truth.
Not really.
The victim passed through the understage where Betty DeFam was, and came up to the backstage area. We know this because Mr. Reyes appeared to be backstage when he shot the video we saw.
Did he? It appears that way, yes.
And defense, you proposed the following, did you not? What if the victim was killed under the stage before being put up into the coffin? But then, what about this video? This footage was taken just before Mr. Reyes entered the coffin.
Uh-huh. Oh, does that mean...
Yes, it is horrible but true. The tragedy did indeed play out right there on the stage. Went into the coffin where Mr. Reyes was hiding. Trucy Wright thrust her blade.
That's pretty impossible. Also, that would go back to it being an accident, but... See, I told you so. You saying the incident was a tragic accident that happened during a prank?
It would be an accident if the accused had no knowledge of the prank beforehand. But let us ask the accused herself, Miss Wright. Did you have prior knowledge to the prank?
What? Tell him, Trucy, you didn't know anything about it, right?
Of course I didn't. I didn't know a single thing about it.
Objection. Still think you can play innocent, do you? In that case, you leave me little choice but to present this piece of evidence.
Looks like some sort of note?
That's...
I found this note in the dressing room after the incident. At the time, I did not understand what it meant, but it all is clear to me now.
What's this?
Let's see, it says get the video camera after Mr. Reyes comes tumbling out?
It is a note signed by the accused, instructing Bonnie to collect Mr. Reyes' video camera from him, it seems.
Well, we already know that's fake, though.
I don't get it, doesn't make any sense. I found it in the dressing room before the show. When I saw it, I realized that Trucy knew about the prank.
It does bear her signature, I'll give you that much, but also, why in the world would it bear her signature? Like, at all. Oh, the defendant had prior knowledge of the prank.
It would appear so, yes. When she learned about the plan to trick her, she decided to use it to her own advantage.
But even if she knew about the prank, she wouldn't know about the camera.
So she thrust the steel sword into the coffin where the victim stood, chuckling to himself. Is that not what happened, Miss Wright?
Of course not. And I didn't write or sign that note.
Ah, but the handwriting matches yours. All of the evidence and testimony points to you being the culprit.
But I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
Then explain the existence of this note. You can do that, can you not?
I can't explain it. I didn't write it, so I don't understand. I didn't kill Mr. Reyes. You have to believe me.
Ah, if only we had a pool of water to dance with. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot.
Why are we getting so many dots? The silence is deafening.
Continue struggling against the threads of your own karma if you wish, accused. Even as you are inescapably caught in the web of fate you have spun for yourself.
Uh-huh.
Miss Wright, it is time to resign yourself to your fate.
No, I didn't do it. That sweet-looking girl, a murderer? Took all of us in with that act of hers. I told you, I knew she was homicidal little witch from the start. But I didn't do it. I really didn't. Why doesn't anyone believe me? Shut up, you killer! We won't fall for that anymore. This is bad.
Why does anybody listen to this chump?
Your Honor, I suggest we put an end to this tragedy now. Give your official ruling and let us offer the victim's soul the last rites it deserves.
You know we probably won't kill her or anything. Ah, very well. I suppose I have no other choice. This court hereby finds the defendant, Trickery Wrights. Objection? Defense has an objection.
Apollo?
You, even now you would...
Yeah. Won't give up. And I refuse to let either of them down. Mr. Wright, who's counting on me, and Trickery, who's put all of her faith in me. Mr. Justice, the fact that you've raised an objection means that you have evidence in which to refute the prosecution's claims, correct? Yeah, of course, Your Honor. When do I not?
Do we really have anything, Apollo?
Actually, we do. One piece of evidence that we can present here. Very well, Mr. Justice, you may proceed. As we saw in the show footage, no question the defendant thrust a sword into the coffin. Defense doesn't dispute this point. But let's not forget that this was a magic show filled with tricks and illusions. Can't take everything we see at face value. So you're saying some sleight of hand was somehow involved? Yes, the defense contends that the sword the defendant used was not the cause of death. Now, what was it Trickery told me she did just before she thrust the sword into the coffin? Very well, let us see your evidence then, Mr. Justice. But remember, you interrupted my verdict to make this claim. You will be severely penalized if I found you were bluffing. Yeah, that's fine, Your Honor. This shows it's possible the sword Mrs. Wright used was not the cause of death. You didn't hear anything. But I'm pretty sure it's just the sword, right? What's this? A sword from the show. That's right, Your Honor. This rubber sword was in the sword stand under stage. During the trick, Miss Wright was supposed to swap the real sword for the rubber sword. She told us on record that she remembers very clearly that she did. I see. But the sword the defendant thrust in the coffin was a rubber sword, was it? But then why was a steel sword found lying on the stage? Somebody must have put the steel sword there by swapping it with the rubber one. Just after the incident occurred, the dragon set piece fell and the theater was evacuated. The real culprit must have used the resulting chaos to swap the rubber sword for the steel one.
Do you not know when to give up, stink bug? That is not possible. Blood was found in the coffin hole that the sword was thrust into. It must have been left there when the accused withdrew the sword. Incontrovertible proof that the sword which she used was the steel one.
Contrivable? But that blood could be the result of someone tampering with the crime scene after the fact. After the set piece fell down, the audience was cleared out of the theater. There was plenty of time for someone to plant that blood there.
If the sword that the accused used was a rubber one, then when exactly you propose the victim was killed? given that Mr. Reyes was alive when he entered that coffin?
Finding the answer to that question is precisely why we need to continue this trial. Let me express my opinion. By all accounts, it's certainly reasonable to suspect the defendant based on the evidence. It's not. But to answer the question of whether the sword the defendant used was a rubber or steel, I believe further discussion is warranted. I suggest we hear from the defendant herself on this issue.
Very well, Your Honor.
Yeah, I saved it. Somehow. Too close for comfort, but still. That's adjourned for a brief 15-minute recess. I advise the prosecution and the defense to use this time to prepare.
Uh-huh. April 28th. Oh. No time thing? I guess they don't know how long you spent on this.
Phew, that was hairy. Tell me about it. We barely made it through by the skin of my teeth. I can't say I'm crazy about that prosecutor Sadamati either. You know, with the way he says, let it go and move on as if it's nothing.
Let it go and move on, huh? Oh boy, am I interrupting a secret conclave of villains or something? Yeah, of course you're here. How your next evil scheme in the works already, eh?
What do you want?
Heh, keep making that face, champ, and everyone's gonna change the channel. Look this way, Trucy, now smile for the camera. See those pearly whites? Isn't that what a grammar creed tells you to do? How's it feel, Trucy? Everyone online can't stop talking about you. Calling you a real witch out there. Could this be the end of the troop grammar, eh?
Go away, you creep.
Oh, what's this? Something just charged into frame. Looks like a yellow gorilla or something. Could it be Trucy's pet?
Filming is prohibited inside the courthouse. Do you want me to get the bailiff?
He's right there. Huh? Filming? What are you talking about? I don't even have a camera on me.
Huh? What happened to the camera? Just disappeared right before our very eyes. Almost like a magic trick.
Heh, I'll be enjoying the rest of Trucy's show from the gallery. I put out a call to Trucy's fans to come and support her earlier, by the way. Bet I'll get some great footage out of them. This is gonna be good. Hang loose.
Called some of Trucy's fans? But for what purpose? Apollo? That thing Mr. Retinas just did, that was some high-level sleight of hand. Huh? Why would he know how to do something like that? I don't know, but he definitely has some serious magic skills. No way. I thought he said magicians were all a bunch of good-for-nothings. Wait, no, that makes perfect sense for what we know about him. Mr. Lawyer? Oh, hello, Bonnie. Can I help you with something? Well, it's something that's been bothering me.
Really? What is it? Is it my hair?
Well, you see... Hey, dummy, what are you whispering to Lobster Boy about? To Betty. Who the heck do you think you are? You crazy? You want a piece of this? You know you have to talk to me first before you do or say anything, you harebrain. Meep. But I... Shut your mouth, you dumb bunny. Come with me, now.
I wonder what was bothering her.
You may never know. No way we're finding that out with Betty constantly hovering over her like that.
Car's about to reconvene or whatever.
You be alright testifying? Yeah, it's just... Wonder what Mr. Retinas has up his sleeve. I doubt he's bringing in actual fans.
Yeah, probably not.
Wonder if he has up his sleeve too. A camera? Better not be trying to get under Trucy's skin right now of all times.
Why wouldn't he? He probably did it.
You're Trucy, right? And you'll be fine! There goes Apollo with his best trick. That's right, whenever I'm feeling down, I always tell myself I'm fine. Alright, I'll give it a try. I'm Trucy, right? And I'm fine! Thanks, Polly. I think I can do this now.
Atta girl, get out. Good luck up there on stand, you'll do great. I'll try to not yell at you too much.
Thanks, I'll be fine. I could do this. I feel great. Alright, Justice, you could do this too. Time to focus on the rest of the trial.
Oh boy, here we go again. April 28th. We're gonna... Oh yeah, we're in number 6 now. I guess number 4 is probably still being repaired, huh? I wonder if Phoenix is just chewing off his nails while this is going on. Court is now back in session. Defendant, please step up to the witness stand. I said step up, not fade up. Trucy Wright, magician. Here comes the liar, deceitful witch. Throw the murderer in jail. Last member of that criminal troupe. Boo! We don't want to see you on stage anymore. Boo! Order! The gallery will be quiet, or I'll have you all thrown out on the spot. What's with all the hecklers? I bet they're the fans Mr. Retton has invited. What a grade A jerk. He's not going to psych us out. Now then, Mr. Wright. Mrs. Wright. Sorry. Used to saying Mr. This court would like to know if you've switched from the steel sword to the rubber one on stage. So please testify about this issue. She's gonna try to trick us again with her magic. Hurry up and convict her already. Give her the death penalty. Yap, yap, yap. That's it. Throw them out. Silence, all of you. I won't tell you again. Miss Wright, do you feel able to testify? Yes, I'm fine, Your Honor. Trucy, I knew I shouldn't have let her go through with this. I'd like to make a small request. How about instead of testifying with words, I show you exactly what happened. Would that be alright, Your Honor? You can witness my stupendous sword-switching magic and judge for yourselves. In spite of everything, she's still smiling. It's still you. Our Trucy's amazing, isn't she? She sure is. She's doing just fine up there. True entertainer always keeps a smile on their face. She's faithfully following the Troop Grammary's creed even now. Really is something else. It's showtime for magical girl Trucy Wright. Watch carefully now, everybody. Oh. Wait, the window stand can move? Stupendous sword switch. Ladies and gentlemen, please focus your attention on this sword. Allow me to demonstrate just how sharp this blade truly is. You know, it's Trucy, and we trust her, obviously. But, you know, if this was the actual criminal, giving them a real sword might be a problem. See that? No tricks or gimmicks. It can chop through armor and still slice through a tomato. A very sharp sword indeed. Now then, ladies and gentlemen, watch as I take this sword and... Presto Sordo! There, I've switched it. And now... Hup! As you can see, the blade is not steel, but rubber. Bravo, Miss Wright! Wow, she switched them in a flash. I couldn't see her do it at all. Oh no, they're becoming real fans. She's completely turned the room around. The hecklers are being drowned out by all the cheering. Where did the steel sword vanish to, Miss Wright? In order to deepen our understanding of the case, please tell us if you would. I'm not asking out of mere curiosity, just so you know. Well, Judge, check behind your ear. I usually hide the steel sword backstage when I switch them out during the show. And when you thrust the rubber sword into the coffin, the steel sword wasn't even on stage, but behind the curtain. Exactly. So you see, there is a trick and a gimmick to it after all. As for where the steel sword went when I performed the magic trick just now, it's a secret. Wouldn't want to spoil the magic for you now, would I? Oh. That's our Trucy. Yeah, still. Miss Wright. That part where you spun around. That's an actual part of the sword switching trick you do for the show, right? Right. The other parts, like the apple, were just to help with my explanation here in court. Oh, it was an apple? That's funny. I think I found an inconsistency in her testimony. Did I bother pointing it out? And it looks like I'm not the only one. I don't know what it's doing there, but now that I found it, I gotta get to the bottom of it. Now then, Mr. Justice, you'll go ahead and question the witness. Try not to ask dumb questions and spoil the wondrous magic. I thought this was supposed to be my cross-examination. Allow me to demonstrate just how sharp the blade truly is. No tricks or gimmicks, a very sharp sword indeed. Watch as I take this sword and... Presto Sordo! I've switched it. Can you spot when she does the magic trick? Where's the sword? Can you point out the sword? But I'm guessing it's the video. Actually, let's read this real quick. After capturing Tracy's reaction on film, Miss Reyes will come back to life, laughing and flying up in the air, causing another round of surprise. Okay. I don't remember, so we're gonna watch this again. Don't you love this sound? I'm gonna stab it in the side. Here I go! Ta-da! There's Trucy. How did you escape? And ta-da! Alright, I guess it's that then. She doesn't spin. Hello, Mimikyu. Hope you're having a good day.
Objection!
Objection? Miss Wright, something I'd like to confirm with you. But I'm guessing Mr. Hat did it. What is it, Apollo? Seems to be a discrepancy between the way you performed the trick just now and the way it appears in the show footage. What? But that can't be. I performed exactly the same way both times. And what's going on here? Miss Wright, I have show footage right here. And the part where you twirl your cape around is missing from it. What? But I did it! So... Really is the exact moment you it really is the exact moment you switch swords? Yeah, that's right. I knew it! Well, I certainly never expected the defense to expose the accused lie for me. Mr. Justice, does this mean that you are arguing the defendant did not swap the sword during the actual magic show? Unless this is edited. No, Your Honor, that wasn't my intention. I mean, I did swap them. I know I did. I'm absolutely sure of it. Objection. Human memory is unreliable at best, but in this case, I'm afraid that it is the witness herself who cannot be trusted. We can see the footage for ourselves. The claims of the witness is false. But... Now that it has been proven that the accused did not swap swords, means that the use of the steel sword to pierce the coffin was wholly intentional. Yeah. And by the way, was it not you, Mr. Justice, who argued that Mr. Reyes' death was not an accident, but murder? I assume you have no objections to that still? It was, after all, your own assertion. Defense, objection. Defense has an objection. To you, Mr. Apollo Justice. When you withdraw the discrepancy you point out now. But there is a discrepancy, and it must mean something. I'm sure of it. Will the defense team kindly save their spat until after this court's adjourned? Really. Had enough of that with the rabbits. Now then, after all this debate, it seems we've come back around to the original argument. The defendant knew about the prank plan that would place the victim inside the coffin. What's more, the defendant did not perform the sword-switching trick on stage. Through her actions, I'm afraid we have come to see the true intention of the accused. Her murderous intention. It's such a shame. But I did switch the swords, I swear. You're knee-deep in now, Justice. You're knee-deep in justice. Hold it. Excuse me. Let's see, you are... which one again? Benny? No, that's not right. Body? That's so... They were just on the witness stand. It's Bonnie. You are mixing the two names together, Your Honor. Oh, pardon me. Do you have something you wish to say, Bonnie? Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to testify. About what? The more I think about it, the less possible it seems. I don't believe Trucy killed Mr. Reyes. Bonnie. Hold it. Hey, what's the big idea? Such an incredibly gifted and talented magician would never commit murder. I refuse to believe it. What are you talking about, you harebrained hare? You keep your trap shut. I got a bag of baby carrots for you, so chew on those and pipe down. I do like the baby carrot. No, I won't be quiet. What's the matter with you? Didn't you hear me? Trucy said something to me once. Huh? She said no matter how scared you get, no matter how mean people are to you, you can't give in or give up. That's what being a professional magician is all about. Isn't that right, Trucy? Could've just had her show up on the side, but it's fine. That's right, Bonnie. I've always been afraid to stand up to Betty, afraid to defy her, so I did what she said. But when I saw Trucy today, she gave me strength.
She's trying to trick us again with her magic. Hurry up and convict her already. Give her the death penalty. Yep, yep, yep.
I'd like to make a small request. How about instead of testifying with words, I show you exactly what happened. Would that be alright, Your Honor? Witness my stupendous sword-switching magic and judge for yourselves. Seeing her courage, the way she kept smiling despite everything. She's just incredible. So I'm not gonna run away. I'm scared, but for once, I'm gonna be brave. What have you done to my sister, Trucy Wright? You practically brainwashed her. It's the power of Trucy's conviction. That's what it is. It touched Bonnie's tiny rabbit heart. Yeah, Trucy really is one magical girl. Bonnie, is the topic of your testimony related to the thing that's bothering you? The thing you tried to tell us about in the lobby during the recess? Yes. Ever since I saw this show footage, something's been nagging at me. Not exactly sure what it is, but something is off. I feel like something about it is different from what I saw on the stage. What do you mean by that, Bonnie? I wonder if what was shown on TV really is the same as what happened on stage.
Of course it is. The show has only been performed once, after all. It can't show anything other than what happened on that stage yesterday.
Objection. You don't know how any of this works. Bonnie's testimony deserves our attention. Had to examine the show footage. What can we check it against? You have some other footage of the show. But, well, I have some show footage. You do? One of the TV station's cameraman said he was a fan of mine. He kept his camera on me throughout the entire show. And then afterwards, he gave me the footage he shot as a present. He did? That's a little weird. Tell you the truth, I thought it was kind of creepy, so I was gonna get rid of it. Yeah, fair. Oh, you're on the same page, Mimikyu.
Hold it!
Hold it. Please submit the footage to the court. Yeah, that's pretty weird. Now then, let's take a look at this new footage. And he was over there? Okay. Yeah. Creepy. Poof. Why is it the same filter, too? I guess it's fine, but... Oh boy, creep vision. Cards. Cards are new. And so then she knocked it over? Wow, okay then. He really did keep his camera on Bonnie the whole time, didn't he? I think this cameraman needs to keep his personal feelings out of his work.
Well, Defense, do you still believe this new footage is worth inspecting?
Of course I do. Okay, so how are we gonna go about this? Let's try comparing the two. Just might find inconsistency between them. An inconsistency, huh? Yeah, the two pieces of footage are the same scene, so they should match up. But Bonnie felt there was something off about the original footage. If we can pick out what's different between the two, we'll know what Bonnie found strange. Exactly. Plus, we may figure out why the original doesn't show the sword switching trick. He won't be fired since he will turn this case around. Your Honor, Defense would like to compare these two pieces of show footage. Alright, but we only have one TV. Hey, well, I will allow it.
What a waste of time.
Paula, do you know how to compare the two pieces of footage? Nope, never done this before. I'll give you a little lesson then. Use the buttons on the bottom screen to operate the playback.
Did he not do this? I feel like we've done something like this before.
When you want to speed through, touch the fast forward button. You want to go back, press the rewind button. You want to hit halt the playback, you can press the pause button. Oh, and by the way, if you fast forward or rewind when the playback is paused, you can do it slow frame by frame playback. Okay, and how do I switch between two videos? Touch the switch camera at the top left. Now if you find a difference between the two pieces of footage, put the cursor over what's different and present to the court. Thanks, Athena, you really know your stuff. Not really, I just gave it some gusto and then went with my gut on most of it. What? I sure hope she guessed right.
Yeah, she was just hearing the instruction manual.
Anyway, let's give it a try.
Maybe when she appears. Definitely right when she's supposed to spin. Right? Whoop! That's not what I meant to do. That's the wrong button. I don't see any difference. I pressed the wrong button. Take that! Oh well, I'll still count it. Trying to make my eyes feel funny. Is that what they call eye strain? Hey, would you like some reading glasses, Your Honor? As if! You know how dumb I'd look with glasses? Looking for some kind of difference in the discrepancy between the two, right? That's right. Something that's shown in one videos, but not in the other. Yeah, I meant to press Y, but I pressed... whatever the other button is. X. E... Okay. Repo vision. Guess we can switch to this one. Oh, whoops. I pressed the wrong one. But I didn't press square this time. I mean, X. This is really difficult to do. Is this the right thing I'm looking for? Hard to tell what frame, like right there? Like, she didn't throw cards in this footage, but cards were thrown in the other footage. So, do I present this one? Well, on the off chance I am completely wrong, you heard nothing. Okay. The music stopped, so it must be right. This is it right here. Take a good look at this scene and compare it to the video shot from the front. Oh, the playing cards don't appear in the video shot from the front. Hey, you're right. What's going on here? Miss Wright, what can you tell us about these playing cards? Oh, those? They're the cards I throw when I do the sword switching trick. What? Mr. Justice, does this mean... Yeah, it means that the sword switching trick was cut from the TV show footage.
So the footage was edited?
Yeah, with malicious intent.
That is absurd.
Well, we must get to the bottom of this right away. Bailiff TV station might still have unedited footage. Go see what you can find. You could just do that.
Yes, Your Honor. Happy to serve.
What are these doofy looking shoes? That's what you look like from the waist down? My opinion of you dropped even lower somehow. It's you! Hold up, Your Honor, it's one big misunderstanding. Believe you me. Just give a guy a chance to defend himself before you start pointing fingers. Who might you be? Right. Sorry about that. Got ahead of myself there. Here's my business card. Charmed to make your acquaintance, Your Honor. Oh, well, how very polite of you. Lovely to meet you too, Prosecutor Sadamati. Please take my card.
A business card. Ah, yes, I read about this custom among businessmen in my country. I believe after I take it, I burn you alive?
It's not unreasonable that it was edited, but it's also unreasonable to not look at the unedited footage in a murder case. You know?
I even have familiarized myself with the various replies. No. How do you do, good sir? Or what's crack-a-lackin', homie, for example.
Oh, you're from Take Two TV, are you, witness? We're just gonna completely ignore Sadamati's, with it language. Come to think of it, I believe I've seen you on television before. Yeah. Yep, your hometown, Mimikyu.
Yes, Roger Retness, otherwise known as the Ratings Raja. He is a TV producer and appears on many of his shows as of late. He is best known for his catchphrase, "Hang loose, baby."
Oh my, so you're the Ratings Raja. Hang loose, Judgy baby. Nice courtroom you got here. I never thought I'd get to meet you in person. But Prosecutor Sadamati, how do you know so much about him?
In preparation for the case, I watched all of his shows. I found the Ratings Raja Goes to Burger Barn of particular interest.
Can't get a read on this guy.
It inspired me to visit a restaurant straight away to learn more about the local cuisine. I threw up only an hour later.
What? You went to Burger Barn?
Who would have thought?
Ah, you must really have wanted to try it now, buddy, because that line, whew.
Compared to my aesthetic training, an hour's wait is nothing. I recommend the Southwestern Burger with jalapeno jack cheese, by the way.
Having a really hard time picturing him in line for burgers. Him. Prosecutor Sadamati's unexpected enthusiasm for food aside. Mr. Radness, what is this misunderstanding you mentioned? For starters, sure the footage was edited. Yeah, get your hands on it anyway. So I might as well show you the unedited footage. Pretty long video, so I'll just show you the part with the playing cards. See the cards when Trucy spins around, so keep your eyes peeled. Uh-huh. And she spins around, throws the cards. See the part that was cut there where Trucy switched the swords? How convenient, am I right? Spins around with playing cards go flying, everything like it's supposed to be.
Seems the defendant really did swap swords during the trick. Means the sword Miss Wright thrust in the coffin was the rubber one. In other words, Miss Wright couldn't have killed Mr. Reyes. Hold it. Yeah, see, that's the first misunderstanding right there. What do you mean? Trickery definitely did swap swords, as you saw. So yeah, maybe she didn't kill Mr. Reyes when she stabbed the coffin, but that just means she was killed after he showed up pretending to be a corpse. Are you saying that up until that point everything was going according to the script? If that's true, then when and how exactly do you think he was killed? It was after the dragon step piece came crashing down. A sword fell in his back. What a surprise. I say Trickery murdered Mr. Reyes when she was hidden from view behind the set piece. Wouldn't Bonnie testify for that then? She could have easily done it behind that huge dragon. No one would be the wiser. Except for, like, literally everyone that was watching.
I see. Indeed, there is a ring of truth to your assertion.
You need to get better rings.
The ones by your ears are clearly not working.
You bet! Plus there's a suspicious looking shadow in the footage too. It's towards the end of the footage, just before the dragon hits the stage. Might be easier to just see it for yourselves.
And that's Mr. Hat.
Sorry for a split second, so it's hard to catch, but look here. Suspicious shadow must be Trickery.
What? Alright, this is the dumbest thing they could have said. You saw Trickery run to the side. That's not how shadows work.
Using the steel sword she had hidden behind the curtain during the trick to kill the victim. Now that you mention it, I suppose it does look that way.
Objection?
This witness is just trying to ram his theory down our throats, Your Honor.
That's not all. Are we forgetting
that the witness willfully edited the sword switch out of the footage? Hey, oh, you see, there's your second misunderstanding right there. Your Honor, would you mind if I testified about it? I've seen people testify on TV. I've always wanted to give it a shot. I've also been in the gallery. That would be fine with me, Prosecutor Salamati.
This is quite unexpected. It threatens to disrupt the karmic course of this case.
Hey, lighten up, pretty boy. You're gonna like what I gotta say, promise.
Very well. However, if you do anything to impede the last rites of the victim, I will have you removed.
Alright, Prosecutor Salamati's permission. Please give us your testimony, Mr. Retinas. Roger Retinas, the ratings Roger. Now, Kaiser of the courtroom. I'm taking over the floor, so listen up, loyal viewers.
Why is he wearing shorts? It wasn't deliberate, I tell you. He said, deliberately.
What is it meant to be edited, I tell you? Scenes are spliced together, and longer boring scenes are cut.
What's boring about throwing cards?
All the stations added footage that way. Wasn't like it was done maliciously or anything. It was just coincidence that particular scene was cut. It wasn't intentional. Oh what? You got some proof that I had an ulterior motive for editing the footage?
Yes. Several things.
I see. You're saying it was a coincidence the sword swapping scene was cut. That's right. Glad you got the picture.
Objection?
Coincidence? That's just a little too convenient if you ask me. Oh, an objection. How cool. Sure packs a lot more punch when you hear it live. Do it again. I want to get another shot for a different angle. My objection's not for your entertainment. And cut. There, I got some good stuff there. Mr. Retinas, filming is prohibited inside the courthouse. Whoops. My bad, Judge. The defense has an issue. I can point it out during the cross-examination.
Which one do I point out? I don't care about that. I don't care about that.
Do you have any proof it wasn't done maliciously? Wasn't done maliciously, huh? I had the distinct impression that you bear feelings of ill will towards Troop Grammary. Huh?
Ah, what makes you think that? Things you yourself have said. You know, which we can't really prove in court. Ah, you'll see. I'll dig up the dirt and expose the dark heart behind that sweet smile. Prove the grammar magicians are all a bunch of lowlives. I also get the impression that you felt this way for a long time. Like, I don't know, 13 years.
Words such as those can be interpreted in many different ways. For example, though I bear the defense no ill will, I would not hesitate to say he's a good-for-nothing lout of a lawyer.
I'm not sure you know the concept of goodwill, so... You bear me no ill will? Could have fooled me.
And yet it is the truth. I am only strict on you as it seems you have strayed from the path.
You have any objections, Mr. Justice? Please make your case with evidence in the future. Mr. Retinas, please continue your testimony. All the scenes you could have cut, why the sword switching trick? That seems like a little too much of a coincidence to me. Ah, so now you gotta tell me I'm supposed to edit my programs, big shot? Tired being a boss, kid. You gotta make some tough choices, like which content gets cut. Let me ask you this, why exactly did you make such a tough choice in this case? Ah, you wouldn't understand, champ. It's all about artistic vision. I tell ya, people tell you how to do your job when they don't know the first thing about it. May not know TV, but I know evidence law, and boy do I have some for you, champ. Might not be able to show that your selective editing was intentional. However, I know you bear the defendant ill will, and this is the evidence that proves it. Duh. I would guess it is the contract, but, you know. I wasn't expecting a sudden... evidence dump. Oh, nope. It was not that. Ah, thing. What could that possibly prove? Take a good look right here. Wouldn't you agree that it puts you in a bad light? Looking bad and having evil intentions are two entirely different things. Look at me, for example. I'm not evil, but I am a bit of a bad boy. Oh, if I could be a bad boy myself. Bad lawyers get penalties for presenting bad evidence. Well, darn. Yeah, that was my bad. Well, I only have one hit left. I hope I actually have the right thing for this, too. But I don't think this game would force me to present evidence. That's the prank. I mean, is it the clipboard? Yeah, it wouldn't force me to present evidence. That actually gives you a penalty. Yeah, I guess it has to be the clipboard then. So I was correct, but used the wrong evidence. Right? Huh? What's that you got there? He even presented the contract before the clipboard. Ugh. Why was the contract wrong? This is the contract you had Miss Wright sign just before the magic show. This contract between the first party, Take-Two TV, and the second party, Miss Wright, reads: if, through the fault of the second party, the show must be cancelled in part or in full, the second party will pay $3 million of its compensation to the first party. That's $3 million! Yeah, if I started with the clipboard, I would be like, alright, I get it. But I start with the contract! That's a completely unreasonable sum. I couldn't agree more. And of course, Miss Wright doesn't have that kind of money. Nevertheless, Roger Retinas had her sign this unreasonable contract anyway. Or, more accurately, he conned her into signing it. Conned her? How'd he do that? There's a trick to the clipboard that was used by Miss Wright to sign her contract. Houses a carbon paper that can secretly copy your signature onto other documents. Ah, come on now. That's quite a nasty accusation you're slinging my way. For starters, you have any proof I had anything to do with that carbon paper stuff? Just because Trucy and her agency can't pay up doesn't mean I conned her. That's $3 million. That's totally out of reach for the average person. In any case, this is important new information. Please add it to your testimony, Mr. Retinas. There's your proof linking me to that tricked up clipboard. You don't have any, do you? Do I? Do I present the... Like, now do I present the thing? I mean, his signature is on it, but, you know. I'll press it first. This clipboard is yours, though, isn't it, Mr. Retinas? Ah, well, it belongs to TV station anyway, that much I know. Maybe it was old prop from one of our TV shows that got used by mistake. Or maybe you use it on purpose, to con Miss Wright.
Objection. Mr. Retinas has already stated that he did not.
Yes, it's called a lie.
Mr. Justice, please do not use this trial to try and get out of paying your agency's debt.
That's not what I'm doing. Proof Mr. Retinas connected to the carbon paper, huh? Trucy's signature was copied on the fake contract. Then there must be an original contract that Trucy actually did sign. True, but I bet Mr. Retinas is too savvy to leave something like that behind as evidence. What if her signature was copied into more than just the fake contract? Like a third document with Trucy's signature on it? Have we seen anything like that, though? Hey, what are you guys whispering about? Let me continue my testimony. Well, we have the note.
Objection!
You must be quite the con man if you can fool a magician with a simple trick. But if you think you can con a liar, you're very much mistaken. We'll con ourselves. Hey kid, would it kill you to in your sight? Enunciate. Jeez, I can't read. I hardly ever see anyone spell that word out. Would it kill you to enunciate in front of the camera? You know, like a newscaster. Think of the viewers. I'd like you to take a look at Miss Wright's signature here on this note. Let's compare that signature to the one here on this contract. Exactly the same. Wow, would you look at that? They're exactly the same. That's what Brilly said. That's right, Your Honor. Not just similar, but exactly the same. Nobody can sign their name exactly the same way twice, unless it's a copy. These signatures are proof positive that you conned Miss Wright. And they definitely prove your malicious intent. Hey, not bad, lawyer guy. Didn't know you had it in you. This is really getting interesting now. It'll get great ratings for sure. Seriously, take the camera away from him.
Don't try to dodge the issue, Mr. Retinas. The fact that you bear ill will against my client. So the show footage was definitely edited with malicious intentions. Isn't that right?
Objection. What a forced argument, defense. All you have to really proven is not his ill will towards Miss Wright, but his pucenary greed. Pucenary?
That's right, I just wanted money, baby. Fat stacks of cheddar, that's all. After all, I never even crossed paths with Trucy before this magic show. I'd have absolutely no reason to bear any ill will, right?
You didn't bear any ill will, huh? Fat chance. This guy definitely has some major hate for Trucy.
Yeah, I'll see. I'll dig up the dirt and expose the dark heart behind that sweet smile. I'll prove the Grammary magicians are all a bunch of lowlives.
Can't prove it with anything, but the things he said all point to the fact there must be something between the two of them that gave birth to this grudge. Some sort of connection that not even Trucy is aware of. Your Honor, I'd like to argue that Roger Retinas and Trucy Wright must have crossed paths before. Must be some hidden connection between them.
Hidden?
Connection?
What is it now?
Just what are you getting at, Mr. Justice?
It is futile to even ask, Your Honor. Surely it's not just another one of the defense's feckless claims.
Objection! I've been right so far, shut up. You don't seem to have a very high opinion of me, but once you hear my argument, you'll wish you'd taken me a whole lot more seriously.
Will I really? Very well then, do proceed.
You figure something out, Apollo?
Nope. Not a thing. Dang it, Apollo.
What?
That was just some good old-fashioned bluffing, courtesy of Mr. Wright's fine training.
Hope you know what you're doing. Objection! No stabbing in the courtroom, please. But hello, Random. Hope you're doing okay on your many trips. You're going to make such a bold claim, Mr. Justice. I hope you're ready to elaborate. What is this hidden connection between the defendant and Roger Retinas? They're dating? I don't think anyone would allow that.
That sleight of hand trick Mr. Retinas did during the recess earlier. Filming is prohibited inside the courthouse. Do you want me to get the bailiff?
Huh? Filming? What are you talking about? I don't even have a camera on me.
What if Mr. Retinas is a magician, too?
What if? I believe it's up to the defense to fill in the blanks, not me.
Well, if he is, he may have had some contact with Miss Wright somewhere along the way.
Objection. Your argument is hardly worth responding to. But by all means, please do continue. As a passage in the sacred scriptures of Kuralism states, he who gives the sermon to a monkey is himself a monkey.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you say or say to a dimwit. He's not gonna get it either anyway.
But we saw Mr. Retinas perform a magic trick. Made his video camera disappear in the blink of an eye.
Well, I think that'd be pretty funny if I were a magician. Must have been seeing things. Want me to introduce you to a good eye doctor?
If a connection is tenuous as that is all it takes, then every magician in the country could potentially bear ill will towards the accused.
Yeah, they probably do. I guess you're right.
You're not the sharpest knife in the jar, are you, short stuff?
You do well to cleanse that putrid mind of yours in the holy waters of Mount Ponipani. 3 days under the frigid waterfall, and even you should rise to the level of a monkey.
Ha! A numbskull for a numbskull.
Yeah, this numbskull has thick skin, so there.
I think I get what they're driving at.
Even if he's a magician, it's not exactly a reason to bear a grudge against Trucy, is it? Hold on. I can think of one person. One magician who has a reason to bear a grudge against Trucy. Or rather, one magician who has a reason to bear a grudge against the troop Grammary entirely. No way!
Something wrong, Mr. Justice. I mean, more than usual.
Your Honor, defense wishes to submit evidence at this time. I see. What sort of evidence do you have for us? Evidence that points to the real killer, the one who had motive to commit this crime.
What?
And what have you come up with this time, Defense?
Chusi Rai is the sole heir to the troop Granbury and its name. This puts her square in the crosshairs of a particular magician. And this piece of evidence points to the one person with a grudge against Miss Wright.
I'm just gonna... Ooh. Just, you know. Me?
And who exactly are you naming, Mr. Justice? I'm naming myself Mr. Justice, but 13 years ago, the great Mr. Reyes belonged to Troop Granbury. But then the troop ousted him, and Mr. Reyes vowed to get revenge on them someday. And what better way to accomplish that than through the ruination of their sole heir? But Mr. Reyes is the victim, Mr. Justice. You've named a dead man as your suspect. But is he really dead? What do you mean, is he really dead? If the fact that Mr. Reyes is the victim is what's throwing you off, then how about we consider this possibility? What if the man who died on that stage yesterday wasn't Mr. Reyes? But what? You mean the victim was an imposter? Not Mr. Reyes. Then what about the real Mr. Reyes? Haven't we, like, done fingerprints and everything on the dead body? I mean, the real Mr. Reyes is still alive.
That's absurd.
You know... Ironically, had this actually been in Korea or whatever, we would have known that right away, on account of not being able to summon his spirit.
Mr. Justice, who was the real Mr. Reyes and not the victim of this case? It's all coming together now. Finally see the gimmick, the trick to this entire case. This should explain everything, Your Honor. The real killer, the one who hated Troop Granbury and wanted to sully its name.
It wasn't me, I'm not a magician, I'm a mage.
The magician lurking in the shadows who set up the fake Mr. Reyes in his stead. The real Mr. Reyes is... Phoenix Wright.
No, it's this guy.
But that's... Yes, it is. Roger Retinas is the real Mr. Reyes. What?
What is this music?
Objection? Oh, hollow red pepper.
I thought I was a stink bug again.
Your impotent seeds spout naught but meaningless empty words. Can't possibly have proof to support such an outlandish theory.
It's not a bad idea for a soap opera, but not even die-hard fans of the genre would stick around past the pilot.
You want proof? Well, I got proof. I can prove it by... proving that Mr. Reyes' yesterday's magic show was a fake. And to do that... I just need you to look at this spot on the poster. This is the injury Mr. Reyes sustained while practicing a magic trick 13 years ago. However, the video of the victim's shot of himself shows no trace of that injury.
Oh my, you're absolutely right! What the heck? Magic cream, maybe?
Now, Mr. Retinas, what do you suppose we'd find if we look at your right forearm? Is there by chance a nasty 13-year-old scar under that sleeve of yours? Well, Mr. Retinas, why don't you roll up your sleeve and let the court have a look? Or are you hiding something else up there?
Come on now, I have nothing up my sleeve. I don't need to hide anything up there, because I require no tricks or gimmicks. For you see, my magic is the real deal. Ta-da! Is this what you're hoping to see?
There it is, the scar.
Just as I thought. That's right, I'm the Forgotten Magician, abandoned to the dark stage of history. The great Mr. Reyes. This is totally absurd. Oh. How ironic, wouldn't you say? That this obvious mark carved to me by the troop grammar, eh? Would bring me back to the limelight once more. Strange are the chromatic threads before me. If the witness is the real Mr. Reyes, then who is the victim who perished in the magic show? He was but a fan. I met him in one of my programs several years ago. Said he had become a magician out of admiration for the great Mr. Reyes. In confidence, I told him my true identity, and let him take on my mantle. And then I stabbed him in the back. When did this man take over for you? About 2 years ago. Taught him my tricks, even acted as his producer. And so, a mere amateur became a popular magician overnight. Courtesy of my magic on the stage we call television. Hope you enjoyed the show. Not one bit. You really had us all fooled. Mr. Reynolds, or should I say Mr. Reyes. In your hatred for the troop grammar, you killed the victim, Mr. Mystery. The dumb name. And then set up Mr. Wright to take the fall, didn't you? You did it all just to tarnish the grammary name. Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about, lad. I set up the prank, that much is true, but it was simply a harmless joke on Trucy, I assure you. Yes, she learned of the plan, made use of it to commit murder. It's how strongly the criminal element runs in the blood of these grammaries. Objection, we already proved that to be false. It was a secret prank that very few people knew about. Couldn't you have been the one to use it for murder instead? Gah! Yikes! His head! Ta-da! Heh, just kidding. What the heck was that? Heed my words, liar lad, for I fear your grasp of reality is slipping. I do believe I told you my magic is real. It employs neither tricks nor gimmicks. Now with the dang ambiguity. Is that how you say that? Ambiguity? Yeah. Why don't you make your point already? My alibi is pristine as ever. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Sadamati? Ambiguity. Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. Yes, I suppose that is correct. The witness does have a solid alibi. What? Why does he keep clapping? I know it's the prey thing, but it keeps making me think he's gonna summon a transmutation circle. Recall, defense, the time of the magic show, Mr. Retinas was at Take-Two TV. A fact that many people can easily attest to. Yeah, that's right. I forgot all about that. Oh-ho! So what do you think, Your Honor? Would you like me to testify on the matter? Yes, I think you better. Please tell the court more about your alibi. Hey, well then, on with the show. You watching Magnifique Grammary? Oh no. Reflected in his eyes. Can't trust someone with those kinds of flames. Time has finally come for my magic to stuff out your precious pedigree. The Grammary line will be no more. I was at the TV station at the time of the Penrose performance. I was busy working on the TV program. I could spare no time for a magic show. Do ask my staff if you doubt my claim. And there it is, simple and perfect alibi. No tricks, no gimmicks, just the truth. Understand now, perhaps? I did not grace the theater with my presence until after the incident. How can I have committed the murder? The staff did say he was there at the station. Sure does sound like a rock-solid alibi.
But that can't be right. Mr. Wright is the killer. He'd have to have been at the theater. Gotta be a hole somewhere in this story. Where's Trucy's reaction to this? Show you there are no holes in Mr. Rage's stage. No tricks, no gimmicks. True magic doesn't need trapdoors to escape through. Do enjoy my show to the fullest and my real alibi. My perfect alibi. Strange how all the perfect alibis usually have a hole in them.
Hold it!
But you did come to the theater eventually, isn't that right? Indeed. Anxious to see the show was progressing, I made my way to the theater. Let's see. My journey took about 10 minutes by car. You've actually made it to the theater during those 10 minutes, killing the victim? Oh, allow me to stab at reading your mind. Aha! Could I have been at the theater during those 10 minutes, killing the victim? How in the... But no, I took a taxi. Driver can attest to that. Feel free to call the taxi customer if my word does not satisfy you. Driver's a big fan of the ratings, Roger. He even gave him my card. Gave the driver his card? That was very clever of him. Might as well give it up, lad. Questioning the real magic is a fool's errand. Besides, you know very well what I was doing at the time of the incident.
Hold it!
What was this other TV show you were working on? My own special project, you see. One moment, perhaps this is more appropriate. The Range Roger special production, yeah! Hang loose, baby. Called Desperation Regeneration. He switched personas just to say that? What's the show about? Washed up, has-been singers, comedians get together to play musical chairs. That doesn't really sound interesting. Where the game is given a second chance at their career. Priceless prize for chumps who washed up too early in life. Sounds great, right? Kinda sounds like you.
Might I suggest you appear on that show, Mr. Justice? As the ex-lawyer who used to make ridiculous bluffs in court and faded sadly into obscurity?
I think that applies more to Mr. Wright. And let the ratings Raja produce my TV debut? Not in this lifetime. You have great reactions. Who knows? TV might be your true calling. Hey, whose side are you on? In any case, I was overseeing production of the program during the Penrose performance.
Hold it!
Can we? How do we know the staff members aren't in cahoots with you? I think we actually know that because they don't really seem to like him. I'm making my business to perform solo. My magic has neither need nor want of assistance. After all, one of them could reveal the secrets behind my magic, could they not? So he doesn't trust anybody, huh? Complete opposite of Trucy.
There were many people there in the studio audience who saw the witness as well. Even if he had been able to persuade his own staff to cover for him, he could not have convinced so many complete strangers to do the same.
He convinced them to be here. He really has made a rock-solid alibi for himself. It's almost too good, you know? It's eerie how perfect it is. It's all been revealed to you now.
Hold it!
I've got it. Do you have a brother? A brother that looks exactly like you, maybe?
That wouldn't really be far-fetched in this case, would it?
Again with the twins business. Think the audience would let you get away with using the same gimmick twice in a row.
If you do not believe him, Defense, why don't we investigate for yourself? Though I'm sure your efforts will prove to be thoroughly fruitless.
Yeah, I guess twins theory's a little far-fetched.
Not too far-fetched here.
Yeah, his alibi really is airtight. Believe we've had enough. Believe the witness does indeed harbor some ill will against the defendant. No reason to doubt he was at the TV station at the time of the incident.
Yes, the facts prove that it was impossible for the witness to have been involved with this crime. These last rites of the victim have dragged on long enough. The soul of the victim himself is so bored that it is resting on top of your Honor's head.
What? It is? Last time it was a bird.
The time has come. Let us punish the sinner and guide the victim's soul to the Twilight Realm.
Apollo, Trucy will be thrown in prison! And we'll be out of a job. But if you catch the tasty fishies, will you sell me some at a good price? I told you I have absolutely zero intention of going off on a tuna boat. And no, you have to pay double. Think, Justice. You have to figure this out. It's no use. Can't find a single flaw. So what now? Ahow! Behold my never-ending magic show! Come for the awe-inspiring showmanship of the great Mr. Reyes, and stay for my grand illusion until the end of time. Ha 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 ha. Wait, is he saying that we're still trapped inside some sort of illusion of his? That's what professional magicians do. They make their audience see something that isn't really there. In other words, you make us see illusions, right? We call it misdirection. While we keep you busy believing one thing, we're busy making something else happen. What we say there really isn't. What we say isn't there actually is. Could it be? You know what, Mr. Retinas? I guess we have all been spectators to the elaborate illusion you've prepared for us. An illusion that has subtly turned our attention towards something you wanted us to see. What are you going on about that? Have you got something, Apollo? I just remembered something Trucy said about misdirection. What a magician says is there really isn't. What they say isn't there actually is. We've all been taken for a ride by Mr. Retina's magic. Maybe he's made us see something that wasn't really there. Time to rethink all my assumptions about this case. What have you been all made to believe was there when it actually wasn't? What have you taken to be absolute facts of this case? I evaluate the validity of all these things. Just maybe. Athena. Something uncanny about this case. Okay, what valley is it? Retina's alibi. It's too perfect. That's true. It's like it's impossible to break, no matter how hard we try. But maybe that's the trick. Maybe that's exactly what he wants us to think. I'm not following. We're not making any headway here because we've been focused on breaking his alibi. Oh, I think I get it. You're saying he's using misdirection on us, right? That's what I literally just said, yes. It's definitely a possibility. Ahem. Friends care to share with everyone what it's discussing over there. Your Honor, we believe that if we were to reconsider the certain assumption, we may finally arrive at the truth. In fact, I think we'll even finally see who's hiding behind the curtain, so to speak. What is this certain assumption you're thinking of? The one key assumption we've been taking for granted this whole time. Wasn't the theater, but the TV station. Well, I believe that is incorrect.
Objection.
Objection. Foolish lawyer. Were that true, then what about the body you witnessed during the show? Was it his body double? I don't know.
Don't you know it's rude to ask how a trick is done, Prosecutor Salamati?
Okay. I was warned. They're not a replacement for saves, apparently.
What if the culprit was somewhere other than the theater at the time of the crime? What if there was some way to commit the murder without actually being there? If that were the case, then Mr. Retina's perfect alibi would become irrelevant.
Objection.
Objection. How could one person stab another to death with a sword without physically being there? Furthermore, we all saw what appears to be the culprit's shadow in the footage.
Objection.
Objection. But couldn't we have just easily assumed that the shadow does not belong to the culprit?
Well, if it's not the culprit, then whose is it?
I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm pretty sure I'm on the right track. We've all seen something that looks like this shadowy shape before, Your Honor, during the magic show itself.
In that case, please point it out in the show footage for us.
This is the thing that looks suspiciously similar to the shadowy figure of the culprit.
I have to do the little thing again? Yep. Did I go too far? Yeah. Right before the smoke, right? Wait, does that mean Mr. Hat is a killer? Oh no! How could you, Mr. Hat? I knew the shadow would be important at some point.
Doesn't the shadow resemble the suspicious shadowy figure?
Now that you mention it, it does, doesn't it? Does Mr. Hat have to go to jail?
Miss Wright, could you identify the shadow for the court? Let's see. I believe that's Mr. Hat's shadow. It's from when he's being pulled up from the stage to the catwalk overhead by wire. And could the shadow that's shown later in the footage be Mr. Hat too? No, that's not possible. After Mr. Hat was pulled up from the catwalk, he stayed up there. In other words, the secondary shadow is from some other figure being pulled up.
Some other figure? I'm afraid you'll need to be more specific than that, Mr. Justice.
He's right. We've come this far. I have to figure out how to figure it out from the clues I have on hand.
What is this second shadowy figure in the footage?
Did I see the shadowy figure again?
Well, I'm glad it's not Mr. Hat.
If you consider what was happening on the stage at the time, there's only one answer. The shadow belonged to the fake Mr. Reyes. In other words, Mr. Man of Mystery.
The victim?
Please take a look at the prank plan script. Mr. Mystery was pretend to be dead and then fly up to the air after that.
True.
Isn't that right, Mr. Retinas?
Indeed, what of it?
I can tell you exactly what happened. The victim was wearing a stunt harness around his waist. It was likely attached to a stunt wire so he could be pulled up into the air.
You're suggesting that after pretending to be dead in the coffin, the victim flew up in the air just as the prank script says?
Exactly. We just couldn't see him go flying up because the dragon was blocking our view. And that last trick, ladies and gentlemen, is the true piece of resistance of the culprit's murderous magic show.
He's starting to sweat.
Don't tell me you got it all figured out?
Yeah, probably. I mean, give me a few text boxes.
We can just look beyond Mr. Retina's last bit of misdirection. Should finally be able to see the real truth. The victim must have been pulled up to the catwalk, just like Mr. Hat. And hit the cushioning up there with a considerate force. Got to figure out what else happened up there at that time.
You ready to elaborate, Mr. Justice?
Not really, but I'm ready.
In that case, please answer me this. Why did the culprit make the victim fly up in the air like that?
I want to say to murder him, but...
Sorry for constantly saving. I failed too many times this run. Although one of them was definitely cheap. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but I don't know. Well, hiding the body didn't work. Falsifying his alibi wasn't really needed. A port of the 3 Apollo games. There were 3? But that's nice. I wonder if they'll get an anime too, if they haven't already. Oh, well, neat. Is why did the culprit have the victim fly up after he appeared in the coffin? How convenient that it's right after I finish playing them all. I'm sorry. Hello, Tronup. Hope you're having a good day. Yep, you're welcome. Hope you enjoy. Alright, I'm gonna have to level with you, Reborn. I'm not gonna play Bubsy ever now, okay? I can't have another Bubsy game. Yeah. And also the Great Ace Attorney, but I guess I couldn't really play that one. And the Switch port was fine. And it probably actually isn't what? This game? And how did the victim actually die when he was only pretending to be dead in the coffin? Oh, I'm sure it isn't because of me. If anyone working for Capcom knows me, I'll be surprised, so... But hey, maybe that means they'll make another one, if the Apollo ones do well. Yeah, how do we know? I don't know anyone that works for Capcom, but, you know, I don't know what all of you do. I don't think Sivia works for Capcom, though. Well, that's good. We can figure out how these two questions relate. The question should become clear. Could it be? Mr. Mystery must have thought this was still part of the prank when he appeared on stage. He probably didn't suspect a thing when he was being pulled into the air, after Miss Wright was called backstage and just as the set piece fell. How convenient that Bonnie knocked over that camera that would have proved this. But the culprit had already planted the real murder weapon in the cushion in the catwalk. It was probably a knife or a blade of some sort. What? You mean... Yeah, it really was a magical murder. Just as the prank script said, Mr. Mystery was whisked up in the air. Oh, jeez. And straight into the blade there in the catwalk. That would explain why it's in his back. In other words, this murder was committed remotely through the use of a magic trick. What? Remotely? Using this method, it wouldn't matter where Mr. Retina was at the time of death. You don't have any proof. But how exactly does it work, Mr. Justice? Oh geez, 3D models. Just before the murder occurred, the dragon set piece was pulled up to the catwalk. It and Mr. Man of Mystery were connected to each other by a wire at the time. By carrying out the prank plan, Betty made the dragon set piece fall, which caused Mr. Mystery to rocket straight up and into the blade in the cushion. The cushion was high up enough to be hidden from the audience's view. That's why nobody saw the blade. Then that big gash in Mr. Hat's cape... The blade must have been set up overhead sometime before the magic show. Mr. Hat must have been slashed by it too when he was pulled up to the cushion. Poor Mr. Hat. At least he's not a murderer. Hold it! Hold it? I can't believe it. I had no idea. I was told that Trucy would freak out if I made the set piece fall. That's the only reason I did it.
You were used, Betty. Roger Renton has used you. I thought he was my little puppet to boss around, but it was the other way around. After the incident occurred, Mr. Renton has arrived at the theater. Got the murder weapon and swapped the rubber sword with the bloodied steel one. That's also when he lowered the victim's body down to the stage. But how did he have time to do all that? When the set piece fell, the audience was evacuated from the building. He was able to do all those things after the fact because there was no one around to see. A horrific murder camouflaged by a spectacular magic show? That sounds like the kind of murder only a magician could pull off. As long as the show proceeded as it was scripted, Mr. Mystery was doomed to die. That's why it was you, Mr. Ratners, who killed the victim, all the way from the TV station. This prank plan, or should I say murder plan, proves your murderous intent. Grammary! Anyway, shut up. Uh-huh. Enough. You dim-witted, ignorant, imbecilic, putrid red pepper. You can't possibly have a counter-argument to make. Talk about not knowing when to let it go and move on. Do you have a rebuttal or something, Prosecutor Sadamati? No, I just felt like saying. No blade of any kind was found on the catwalk. Which means you have no evidence to support your theory. But Mr. Renton has retrieved it after the fact. Can you prove that? There's probably blood up there. Which still leaves you with no way to prove your wildly fantastic remote murder theory. But without proof, does it not make more sense to believe that the murder was committed there on the stage? Not really? His outburst alone kind of proves it. That is where the blood-stained sword was found, after all. That is a very good point. As the only person who could have committed the crime there on that stage. Trucy Wright remains the prime suspect. It appears that what you call truth is little more than a cheap parlor trick. In the end, you have done nothing to prove the accused is innocent. It is time at last to let it go and move on. Well, no, we did just prove it, because if the shadow isn't her, then she couldn't have killed him. And yeah, I see in this Magnifique Granbury, my magic is exacting punishment on your granddaughter. Granbury name is done for. Apollo, we need to hit him with decisive piece of evidence here. I know, that's just what I was thinking. Mr. Justice, do you or don't you have anything to prove that the witness committed this remote murder you proposed? Of course I do, Your Honor. This entire incident was carried out exactly according to the script. Right, so theoretically there should be no evidence for us to find or use. Which means our best bet is to see if something unscripted happened. Gotta be something Retinas couldn't have foreseen. And once I find it, that's how I'll expose his murderous trick. Get ready, Mr. Retinas, because I'm about to reveal the secret of your magic. No tricks or gimmicks here, just some good old-fashioned logic. I thought he was gonna say justice. Oh no, this! I thought this would be done for. Just in case. I don't think you can actually lose this, really, but... Time to hold my hand. As long as the magic show when it's scripted, the murder would happen without fail. Everything in this case was carefully planned so that no evidence would be left behind. One thing happened that definitely wasn't in the plan. Part of the magic show wasn't planned in the original script. Bonnie's mistake? Oh, wait. Yeah, this is a little more intense than the last one. Bonnie made a mistake during Tricky's escape trick. What mistake did Bonnie make during the magic trick? Her life choices. That part's probably true too, but not relevant. Mr. Hat was placed in the wrong spot. Because Bonnie placed Mr. Hat in the right of the coffin instead of the left, Trucy had to reappear on the side of the coffin opposite of the one in the show script. Culprit didn't know that when he first arrived at the theater. Means he was bound to make a slip-up when he tampered with the crime scene.
Which part of the culprit's cover-up attempt was affected by Trucy's new position? Bam, 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 bam. Was the blood in the coffin hole correct? Oh, I see. Have I seen that? I don't remember. Mm-hmm. Nope. I thought so. No, that's not right. Even Trucy's position change, that wouldn't affect the placement of the fingerprints on the outside of the coffin. I thought I meant the inside. But okay. For the inside. Oh, I guess that's why it's wrong on the inside, because he had to turn around, I guess? Thinking Trucy had appeared on the left, the culprit must have put the blood on the left hole. But the blood was eventually discovered in the right hole during the police investigation. Oh, right. I always forget it's left and right. If the killer had originally put the blood on the left side, then that means he must have tampered with the scene again afterwards to line up with the facts. If the crime scene consistent with the facts, the culprit must have... The culprit swapped the coffin's sides. Da-da. That's right, the left and right panels of the coffin are interchangeable. The culprit must have switched the two panels to make the bloodstain fit the facts. But the switch might have also given rise to something unnatural. I remember now. There was something unnatural about the coffin, and it's the evidence I need. His fingerprints, whoa. Intense face. Sorry, Mr. Retinas, but I have some very conclusive proof for your guilt. Now they're bluff, is it? No way you have anything of the kind. Magic is real, no objection, shut up. No, there are tricks and gimmicks to it, just like any other illusions. But what? After the murder, you switched the left and right panels of the coffin, didn't you? Yeah. And because you did, you left behind something very unnatural for us to find. Proves that Roger Retinas tampered with the crime scene after the murder took place. I'm pretty sure this is correct, but, you know. We got the dramatic music and everything. Take that! The fingerprints results. What about the fingerprints is unnatural? Let's take a look at the prints the victim left inside the coffin, shall we? If the victim was facing forward in the coffin, his prints should have looked like this. Just imagine what this means. However, what we found is they were facing the opposite direction. Quite unnatural for the prints to be facing this way, wouldn't you agree? Ah! It is strange, isn't it? But how did they get this way? They got this way because the culprit thought the magic show had gone according to script. The culprit thought Mr. Hat would be on the left side of the coffin. And that Miss Wright would also pop up on the left side of the coffin, as per the show's script. Then assumed she had thrust the sword into the hole on the left side of the coffin. That's why he put blood in the left hole when he was trying to cover up his crime. But sometime after leaving the bloodstain, the culprit must have realized his mistake. He found that, due to Bonnie's mistake, Mr. Hat was on the right side of the coffin. And that despite the script, Miss Wright had thrust the sword into the hole on the right. In short, the hole with the blood in it was on the side opposite of the one Trucy used. To make the blood's location fit the facts, he had to tamper with the evidence yet again. So he tried to cover his tracks by switching the coffin's left and right panels. Oh, that's how the fingerprints in the coffin ended up backwards. As the culprit switched the two side panels around. prints ended up facing the opposite direction. But instead of going all that trouble with the panels, why didn't the culprit just wipe the blood away and redo the other side? I'm afraid that wouldn't have worked, Your Honor. There's a little something called luminoid testing. Ah, right. Luminol. I almost forgot. Can detect trace amounts of blood, even if it's wiped away, right? That's right. I don't think that really came up, but that's right. Wiping the blood away would have only served as proof of his meddling. How about him, Mr. Retinas? Did a pretty good job figuring out your trick, didn't I? Objection. Trucy Wright could have done the same just as easily. You have no proof that it was this witness who tampered with the evidence. Objection. Why would she do that? Ah, but I do have proof. Well, what? A person who was in the magic show would never have made the mistake of putting the blood on the wrong side. Least of all Miss Wright, who surely would have remembered she was on the other side. Oh my, you're absolutely right. I'm glad I didn't have to prove that. Why, you impudent! I'm sure you realize by now, Prosecutor Sadamati, your claim that Miss Wright is the culprit just doesn't hold up. Pfeh! You and the accused are most certainly bound for hell. Oh. Really? Miss Wright and I? Because I think you're the one with the ticket there for trying to convict an innocent girl. My beads! Ah, my cheek! Ow, 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 ow! Oh, wow. The Holy Mother really laid into his face. Prosecutor Sadamati, are you alright? As for the culprit, he is someone who knew how the show was supposed to go but didn't actually see it. And someone who had the chance to tamper with the crime scene after the incident. And the other person who fits the bill is Scrooge McDuck. Is you, Roger Retinas. Gramarye! Oh, the secrets to your tricks have been revealed. And with no tricks left, I'm afraid your show's been cancelled. Permanently. Yeah. All of my secrets have been revealed, huh, you say? Huh. Don't make me laugh, boy. Mine is the true, real magic. No secrets to reveal. Behold, ladies and gentlemen, the true power of the great Mr. Reyes. Witness, where did this curtain come from? Magic of the great true Gramarye. Burn! Crumble! Fall to my furious flames, the great Mr. Reyes will bring an end to you all. Now for the final heir to the Gramarye name, right here, right now, you too. Huh? Oh, that's me. This isn't right. No, I didn't do anything wrong. No, it's not my fault. I'm not the one to blame. I'm the victim here. What? Stop, no, the light, it burns. Curse you, Gramarye. He knocked himself unconscious? And suddenly it's the Phantom of the Magic Show. Curse those Gramaryes! It's all because of them! Even now they wound me. Curse them all to the abyss! He got up right away, like a quick recovery. You really hate us that much? Does your hatred run that deep? Deep enough to kill an innocent man? You're dang right, you have no idea what humiliations I had to suffer. Your grandfather, Magnifique Gramarye, kicked me out after I got hurt practicing magic. Said I was too unskilled, I would mess up on stage. Throw me out of the troupe just because he was worried about his own reputation. Since I was but a child, I always was my dream to become a great magician. But that Magnifique took it all from me. But that's no excuse. That's no reason to do something so evil. Magic's supposed to make people happy. not be used as a means for murder. What's the big deal? I just used what I had available to me, that's all. I get it now. That attitude towards magic is why my grandfather kicked you out. You don't deserve to call yourself a magician. Don't deserve? I don't know about that. After all, you were completely taken in by my magic, were you not? Now for the lawyer over there, you would not be on your way to prison as we speak. You're right. I didn't see through your tricks. You see? So in the end, Troop Grammar was defeated by the great Mr. Reyes. Oh, oh, oh. Yeah, but you were beat by a red pepper. You're not fit to lecture me from on high, Trucy Wright. You don't deserve your call yourself a magician, you naive greenhorn. Take that, Grammary, you lose! If anyone needs to learn to let it go and move on, it's this guy. Court and my prison can both burn in the flames of my creation. Ah, not again. Bailiff, take Mr. Ratners away. Bring a fire extinguisher, just to be safe. I don't want to lose another courtroom, okay? Looks like we've reached the end. Feels as though we've been watching a grand magic show. It was close, but we just barely made it through somehow. Huh? Why does Trickery look so down? Miss Wright. Yes, Your Honor? I'm about to announce my verdict. But I see that wonderful smile of yours, that smile of true entertainer as I do. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, this court finds the defendant, Trucy Wright, not guilty. He looks so stern from the confetti flying down. Where did you get another necklace? Court is adjourned. Ta-da! And I didn't die, technically. Defendant lobby number 3. Thank you for everything, Polly. Oh, Trissy. Whatever she said, I'm not saying it. Now you can open your show tomorrow just as planned. Yep, and it's all thanks to you two. Oh, but now that Mr. Reyes is gone, I need to find somebody to replace him. Polly? Don't look at me. I don't like the way she's looking at me. Trucy, I'm so sorry about everything. Hey, what are you apologizing for? Roger Brett has used us. We're victims too. He even made me an accomplice to murder. But Betty, we have to take some of the blame for this too, you know. Even if we didn't know he was planning to kill Mr. Mystery, we did cooperate with him. Huh, it's all my fault, isn't it? Neither one of you is to blame. Only one in the wrong is the person who used magic to commit murder, Roger Retness. Huh, don't you think I know that? Say what you want, but don't think for a second that I don't still hate you. I guess she really does hate me. But Betty, why? You used to be a huge fan of Trucy's. Hey, shut up! I've always hated her. Really? But if we hadn't seen Trucy's magic show, we never would have tried to become professional magicians ourselves, right? So speak for yourself. But Betty, you still have her autograph from that day. God, just shut up. You acting that way this whole time because she secretly loves Trucy? Wow, Trucy, never knew that being the best could be so tough. Come on, Bonnie, we're leaving. We have to get ready for tomorrow's show. You're really excited about performing with Trucy again, aren't you? That's not true, so zip it, dummy. No, she's a bat. A bunny bat. Polly, you think I really am a naive greenhorn? Huh? No way. It's not. After all, you were completely taken in by my magic, were you not? Not for the liar over there, you'd be on your way to prison as we speak.
Yeah, but I'm not, so... You're right, I didn't see through your tricks.
You see, said in the end, Troop Grammar is defeated by the great Mr. Reyes. Why are we flashing back? This just happened. Don't even deserve to call yourself a magician, you naive greenhorn.
Trucy, don't tell me you're taking what Mr. Retina said to heart. Maybe a little.
I might have forgotten, it did just happen.
I didn't see through his tricks and I let myself be taken in by his magic. I can't trust myself anymore. Maybe he was right to call me a greenhorn.
You shouldn't take stock in his words. He doesn't even know the first thing about you.
You're a wonderful grammary magician. You should be proud of yourself. Thank you, Apollo. What makes you say that?
I know you're a wonderful grammary magician because of this.
My grandfather's notebook?
The Grammary Creed. A true entertainer always keeps a smile on their face. When you perform your magic trick in court today, you showed the world your dedication to your troop's creed. Even through all the jeering, you kept a smile on your face and won the crowd over. You're everything Magnifique could have hoped to be in an air. For an air. You're a great magician, Trucy.
Great magician? Me?
You really are. That's why. You don't have to worry about what Retina said.
Oh, Polly, thank you. Still. Couldn't have done it without you. I would have lost my nerve if I had been all alone up there. I was to keep on smiling, 'cause of you.
Me?
I remember what you said to me in the detention center.
After all, you sure you swapped the swords, right?
I remember doing it.
And I just know it wasn't your fault, Trucy.
But how can you say that?
You have any proof it wasn't me?
I mean, I know you're a great lawyer, Polly, but...
I believe in you, Trucy. And I believe in your skill as a professional magician. I'm gonna prove your innocence. Don't worry, you're gonna be fine.
Your words were what kept me going. Apollo, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Now I can be everything I was meant to be. Trucy's real smile is the best. So glad I could help make that happen.
Emma?
Really sorry, Trucy, for everything.
But why?
Well, I wasn't able to convince Prosecutor Sadamati what a good person you are. And I had to testify against you, too. You have nothing to apologize for. You were just doing your job.
You're too kind.
Oh, I don't know about... Huh? Something wrong, Emma?
Oh!
I'm here now.
Prosecutor Sadamati, what are you doing here?
Detective Sky.
Uh-oh. Yeah?
I require your forensic expertise in order to close this case. Come, let us go.
Wait, Prosecutor Sadamati.
Hmm? The trial is over, Mr. Justice. You and I are strangers once more, with no further need to interact.
Strangers? Have you really forgotten all about me?
What?
I wish I could.
You really changed, Naruyuda. Telling me to let it go and stuff. What happened to you?
O lawyer of impure soul, I have nothing to say to the likes of you.
You serious, Naruyuda?
Now, if you'll excuse me.
Are they childhood friends? There he goes. What was that all about, Apollo? How do you know Prosecutor Sadamati? Let's just say we're old acquaintances. Acquaintances? Seem like something more than that. Yeah, well... You don't like to talk about your past, do you? Because you always change the subject. You kind of have a lot of it. Yeah, I guess I'll have to talk about it someday. But for now... Come on, let's forget about the past and celebrate Trucy's future.
Sure, if you say so.
Hey, it's Mr. Wright.
Put him on speakerphone, Apollo.
Beep. What's up, Mr. Wright?
Apollo, how's Trucy? What happened in the trial? Did you get the not guilty verdict? Is she okay? Does she need a new hat? I heard Mr. Hat got ripped up or something.
Mr. Wright, slow down, everything's fine. Hi, Dad, I'm okay now. She was found not guilty in a very dramatic turnabout. Plus, we saved the office. Did we? It was a great victory for Apollo.
Whew, that's a load off my mind. I can't thank you enough, Apollo. Yeah, I'm sure if we were told, it'd be like, oh, look, I've got like 50 missed calls from Mr. Wright. Now I know I can trust you to hold down the fort anytime. Me? Really? Yes, you're a real full-fledged lawyer now in my eyes. A full-fledged lawyer? Do I get my own room? Can I stop cleaning the toilet? Still can't wrap my mind around it. Thank goodness you were there to take care of everything. And thank you, Apollo. Who was he talking to?
No need to go that far, boss, especially not in front of everyone.
Oh, and by the way, I won't be able to make it to tomorrow's show, so I was hoping you could go. You'll do that for me, won't you?
Of course, I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Beep. Oh, is that just the end?
Full-fledged. Dad asked you to come to tomorrow's show, huh? As my assistant, right? No, he just asked me to go cheer you on. Okay, then I'll be sure to save you the best seat in the house. The best seat in the house? Really appreciate the thought, but... Good, then it's settled. Huh?
Well, we did prove that the signature was faked on that thing, I guess. So that does save the office.
Objection!
Objection? I should have known.
Oh no.
That this is what she meant!
Mr. Hat's fixed. That's good.
Magical girl Trucy Wright will now perform her greatest illusion yet. No tricks or gimmicks here, ladies and gentlemen. This is real magic. Wait a minute, you're kidding, right? There is a trick or gimmick, right? I'm too young to die. Now then, Mr. Hat, you know what to do with that sword. No, wait, stop. And that is how Trucy and Granbury Land ended on a rousing high note. With a big round of applause, Polly's ear-splitting screams, and a red pepper on a stick. What kind of ending is that?
The end. We did it. Well, and now the right of turnabout. What does that mean? And why didn't they go with the right of turnabout? It's Phoenix Wright. Oh well. But that'll also be it for today. Will we get another cutscene after this?
Wakey wakey 201.
Uh-oh.
Got some more questions.
Duh?
Sound the alarm! Prisoner 201's escaped!
Oh no. A
You know, with
prison
the
break?
streets, things will be on the up and up for us.
Keep your voice down. You want that rebel hunter to find us or something?
Come
I've already
on,
found
we're
you.
small fries compared to, huh?
The crow? Uh-huh. Well, it's back to me then. Temple. Well, with that, another fine day in the kingdom of Kurarin. Seems we have another murder mystery on our hands with a masked assassin. Never seen that before. But with that, I think that'll be it for today. So that was fun. I had a lot of misplays. I only don't blame myself for one of them. With the stupid contract. But I hope you all enjoyed the stream. and I hope you all enjoyed the great mystery coming unveiled. We found out who the true murderer was, although, you know. Hopefully the magic shows will just stick to having rubber swords for everything next time. Yeah, thanks a lot for watching. I did see Kieran was streaming. Should I raid him? I don't remember how raids even work now, to be honest. With hosts being gone. But I may try to be back later. I don't know. For more Zelders or something. Oh no. I can only raid Shadow Legends. What is this? This channel is intended for mature audiences. Okay. Well, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you next time for an assassin mystery. Boy for now.